Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Hey,
Morning, everyone.
all right. I don't think the minutes were attached to the last email. It looked like the agenda to me. Maybe it's me on my end. If you could check that again, whoever sent it out. It looks like the agenda and not the minutes. I popped on early just to say that. Otherwise, I would have.
That's fine, but I think Dr. Cody, I may have noticed the same thing. It looks like it's the agenda attached. Uh-oh, okay. I'm getting to Shirley.
Look at Marco's haircut.
What happened with my haircut?
Got it for the summer relief, huh?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So just so everybody knows, we're gonna do roll calls and everything else afterward. We just gonna wait for the chancellor to join us and give her the floor as the beginning, as soon as she comes in, and then after she's gonna have to leave, and after she leaves, we're gonna do roll calls and take care of all the other bureaucratic details and things like that.
Yeah, Marco, I have 3 concerns I would like to take care of during CPAC's business, please.
Okay,
All
but
right.
let's wait for that later on then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just letting you know.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rashida.
Thank you, because I don't know if y'all can hear me and I can hear y'all. All right, Andrea, good morning.
Just checking in.
Rashida girl.
Hey, Dr. Jackie, I owe you a call. I've been so busy.
Well, I can see that likewise. That's why you ain't hear back from me.
Yes.
A lot going
Yeah.
on, so I feel you on that one. But
All right.
we'll touch base. It's summertime, no rush, no pressure.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Hey, everyone else. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh. Chancellor, you're here. Sorry, I had not noticed.
No, it's okay.
You can take the floor right away because we just waited for you to start the meeting. We're going to do everything else afterward. So,
Okay, no problem. Well, good morning, Jimmy and Marco. Thank you so much for your leadership. And thank you to all of the returning representatives of our president's councils. Thank you for your advocacy and for always being the folks to lift up the voices of our families and communities. I want to welcome all the new President's Council representatives that are here today, and I look forward to working with you as members of this council. And I remain committed to partnering with CPAC and strengthening our relationships from here on behalf of our New York City Public School students and families. I want to thank all my team members who are on the call to listen, learn, and build a system in partnership with you. So the last month of school was especially joyous as we finally started to see the pandemic subsiding. Most schools even had in-person graduation ceremonies outside and socially distanced. That is happening because of vaccines, which are available to anyone age 12 and older. And we all know vaccines are key to keeping our COVID rates at record lows as we gear up for the next school year. I'm happy to announce that our new program, Summer Rising, kicked off this Tuesday. It includes academic support, field trips, and more. It is going to be great, and it's 100% free for every student. We've seen incredibly strong interest from families across the city. More than 200,000 students are enrolled across grade levels at over 800 sites in all 5 boroughs of the city. In addition, approximately 400 community meal sites are opening across the city, and every Summer Rising site will provide our students with meals. As we move towards September reopening, I would like presidents' councils for each borough and district to continue to reflect and share how we can partner in a deeper and more authentic way. I welcome your ideas and look forward to hearing them as I have ongoing conversations with the executive board. Let's think and plan together as we strive to move from engagement to real empowerment. I'll tell you, you have my commitment to listen, but you also have my willingness to support and build and work together. I want to thank you for all of your thoughtful questions and comments to come. I'm excited for the school year ahead and looking forward to working with CPAC to have a successful fall reopening for all of our public school students and families. And I'll turn it back over to Co-Chair Marco to hear and answer your questions.
Thank you, Chancellor. Guys, just raise your hand and go ahead with question. Keep it short and to the point. One hand raised. Jackie, go ahead.
I'm unmuted already. Oh, hi, Chancellor. Happy
Good morning.
summer. How you doing today?
I'm well.
I'm glad to hear you're excited. And I also, I applaud the conversations you held with Bronx parents, actually. However, Manhattan parents invited the Chancellor to a summit with parent leaders from all around the city, the 5 boroughs, DOE-affiliated unions, and other educational stakeholders, and we heard nothing. This is absolutely unfair. We asked for DOE to work with us equally and fairly. Manhattan High School parent leaders have enormous skills and ideas and have been asking to meet with the Chancellor for this entire year. Manhattan High School parents are distinct as we are representatives of families and experiences of K-8 schools throughout all of New York City, every borough. We have a list of concerns, suggestions, and ideas to offer that would undoubtedly enhance and promote real school reform. To name a few, expansion of AP programs, equitable admissions process, nobler and non-offensive name for GNT programs, clearer reopening provisions for performing arts schools and all schools, better marketing of our public schools. There are great things going on in many schools that go unnoticed and unrecognized, as you know. For example, and we need to applaud, encourage, and sustain greatness and uplift morale. Please give us a date we can meet with you, the Chancellor, and be fair to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Jackie. I'll have my team follow up. A lot of things land in a lot of different places when you sit in this seat. So thanks for lifting up the concern and the request that was made. And I will follow up with the team and get back to you. But definitely looking forward to having those conversations. And, I think that we need to continue to create spaces to have conversations. It's going to be important as we move towards reopening, to answer as many questions, to get as many ideas and get as many thoughts on the table. So I'll have the team follow up with you.
Thank you, Chancellor. Leonard, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, good morning, Chancellor.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. As you know, certain CECs are starting, all CECs are starting up. We're very excited to get going. And but unfortunately, because of the change and because of the changes in having to go back now live, that's causing a number of difficulties to get meetings going, and we're concerned about participation. I know in our district, is there any discussion about some flexibility on having remote meetings as opposed to live meetings that are subject to the open meetings law? Can we get any guidance on that? In maybe having the option for both live and remote meetings in the future, specifically with regards to CEC meetings?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Deputy Chancellor Austin to talk more specifically about this, but I've heard this concern. I heard it on the last day of school when I was playing kickball in Manhattan. And I think one of the things I've said over and over again is that we have to leverage the tools that we've learned how to use it with technology, particularly in this parent space, to expand access. And so we have to really be creative and think about ways to continue to do that. And so I know that there's a bill right now, and I'm going to ask Deputy Chancellor Austin to talk specifically about it. But I just think we can't be married to one mode of meeting, because we have been able to expand parent voice and the parent reach to much greater capacity during this pandemic.
Thank you, Leonard. I think since we have Adrian talk with us later on this, it's better we take that later on when we have her time, just to maximize the time we have with the Chancellor right now. That's good, right? So I move it on with Shirley.
Okay, I'm going to save the question for Adrian. I believe she can answer it. It's about transportation and summarizing. I want to know that if all the students, and I'm going specifically because of high schools, they don't have a set schedule unless they're doing instructional learning. They all every student that's participating in summarizing is going to get a bus pass, so they're able to go to the school. That was my question.
That's a great question. I just want to say I don't have the answer on transportation for summarizing.
I was going to say I don't actually know that Adrian can answer that question, but we can get Kevin Moran to get you to answer that question. So we'll shoot it to him so that when Adrian comes up and talks later, she can address that. I know that we have the Metro cards, and they're usually based on distance, and so we'll see what we can do to make sure we can accommodate every student who needs transportation. We don't want transportation to be the reason why our babies don't take advantage of summarizing.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go to Jessica.
Good morning, Chancellor. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to preface with saying I'm really excited, or I was really excited to learn that there would be summer school, and summer school would be for all, right? The summarizing program. However, in our district, it has not gone real smooth. I also find that the lack of information overall about a program at a school or at different schools, it seems to be sort of all over the map. I did not feel comfortable with just the lack of information. I had safety concerns, registration, the whole thing was just sort of hard. But in our district, it didn't seem like we had enough schools on one side of the district to accommodate all of the children that wanted to attend the program. So I just wanted to give you some feedback from what I'm seeing within our district, and just sort of how the summarizing program was rolled out, and hopefully it can be improved going forward so that we can accommodate all the kids that do want to attend.
Yep. Thank you. And, the demand was really high, and we're excited about that. This is a good problem for us to have to solve. Thank you for your feedback. And I'll tell you, every day we're continuing to, work to resolve the seat issues that came up, because we, to your point, want to make sure that every single child who wants to participate in summarizing can. It might not be at the home school, but it will definitely be at a site nearby. So we will continue working. We will continue to, work out the kinks. This was the first time we took on such an ambitious program, and it was important to do and very much needed. But thank you for your feedback, and again, look forward to continuing to work together.
Great. Thank you, Chancellor. Cecilia, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chancellor. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. It is along the lines of what Jessica just brought up. We still have kids in waiting lists, and up until a couple of days ago, we got emails of parents that had, I'm just going to give you one example, but we have similar ones as well. A parent that had one child, and I think Marco and Jamie and Cecilia were copied in that email. One child in kindergarten, one child in first grade, same family. One was in the waiting list. Another one was assigned to a Bronx school, but this family is from Queens. So I appreciate the program. I know it's like, very ambitious, and we do appreciate all you're doing, but there's still problems, and there's still families that are waiting or had assignments that were assigned to school that is very far away from them. So I just wanted to share that concern.
Thank you. And I don't want to take over your meeting, Marco, but I would be happy to see if somebody from the summarizing team could jump on when I'm done to answer questions. I know
right now I see no other hand raised. So if I say if there is somebody right now that can answer the question, maybe we can even do that. But or other people, raise your hand right now if you have other questions, so that we can actually do that. But I see no hand raised, so let's actually see.
All right. I mean, we'll get back, but again, we are working every day. We have identified additional staff. We have done work around busing and creating shuttles from sites. And so we want to make sure our priority is to ensure that every student who wants a seat has a seat. And those waiting lists should be being resolved. So I will look specifically at D26 and D28 following this call, just to check in and see where we are. But we just know we are working. Summarizing is the top priority, and ensuring that every student has a seat is that as well.
I guess that is the biggest issue that parents have at this moment. It makes sense given the time. But since there are no hand raised, and then we have you here.
I can't, Marco, I cannot raise my hand virtually. I apologize. This is Rashida.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi.
Rashida.
Yes, Chancellor. I just wanted to know when, and I know y'all are still working it out, but when we can try and get some sort of guidance as to what the snow days and election days will look like when we talk about pivoting to remote on those days.
Sure. So, I mean, more to come, but it'll look similar to what this year looked like. We are actually working with UFT and CSA to plan out those days, but they will be a combination of synchronous and asynchronous instruction. We're doing all of the work to make sure every student has access to a device, Wi-Fi enabled device. Schools will probably be doing work in advance of those days. So different than obviously in the pandemic, where you were finding out what you had to do on the spot. Schools and teachers will be working with students so that they know what to plan for on those days. And so I think this is a great moment in which we can really think about how do we leverage this new technology in a way that really advances and moves our system forward, as opposed to the response to the pandemic that it's been. So I'm excited about, leveraging that space on those snow days and PD days, so learning can continue happening in our schools and across our city.
Great, thank you. So we have 10 minutes with you, Chancellor. I think it's a great opportunity that there are no questions. We can have some easy conversation, more informal conversation. I think something that we like is to figure out with you how we can better support you in the priorities that you have, and how we can better be involved in the early stages whenever decisions have been planned, not even made yet, right? And I'd like to maybe hear some comment from you or some idea from you, or we can open the floor on the subject. And I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of other ideas here, but I'd like to kind of hear from you if you can, or if you like.
Sure. I mean, I want to say a couple of things. This has just really been an exciting and crazy time. And, as I sit in this seat, as I start to enter my 4th month in this seat, it is a moment in which we have to make some really important decisions to move our system forward. And I think what I would just like to say to this group is, you know, when we are making decisions, when I'm making decisions, I'm considering all of the roles that I've played in the system, from parent to student to teacher, assistant principal, principal, and all of those spaces that I think are really important. And so, you know, the conversations, there have been a lot of conversations and a lot of decisions that are going to come out probably quickly over the summer. And I think it really is trying to be responsive to the need that families have to, you know, and communities and schools have of wanting to get more information and get information as quickly as possible. You know, we are about 6 to 7 weeks away from the start of school, and it feels long because we just ended school, but it really isn't that long. It really isn't that much time. And so I just want to offer that, you know, we're going to do our best. I'm going to do my best to really think about how do we work together so that you are in advance of things as opposed to behind things, right? So last night, you know, we shared an email with principals on our instructional principles for next year. And so I'd love to share a little bit of that with you all, because you all are going to get a letter later today that speaks to that from your schools. But I think it's important for us to think about what is our cadence of sharing information with this group. Like, what is our, when we send out blasts, when we're sending information in advance of a press conference, in advance of a big announcement, how do we ensure that CPAC is a part of that kind of rollout of information? And so, you know, I would love to just share a little bit about what we're going to be talking about, what we are going to be focusing on, and then spend more time later when we have time. And so I'm going to tell you that we have 6 instructional priorities as we enter this school year. First, focusing on early childhood literacy. That's something that families across the city have asked for. And, you know, the work is really around ensuring that we have such an intense focus on literacy, particularly in the early grades, kindergarten through 2nd grade, pre-K, 3K, so that we can really get to that goal of ensuring every student is on reading level by 3rd grade. And in the past, as a system, we've really started focusing our literacy efforts in 3rd grade and 4th grade when students are testing. And those aren't the foundational years. That isn't when we build, you know, our students' literacy pathway. It really starts in the early grades. We're also going to be working to ensure that our schools welcome back students into really affirming environments where students see themselves in a curriculum. And so we're going to be making sure every school has a culturally relevant and sustaining curriculum, and that our schools are places where students see and experience themselves in the curriculum every day. We're also going to be working to develop curriculum so that our teachers don't have to find things, but that we are really building curriculum that is representative of New York City. Rashida asked about, you know, the remote days, and one of the things that this pandemic really pushed us to do was to make a huge investment in technology. You know, we have over 800,000 devices purchased by the central office and schools. And our goal is going to be to make sure that every student in our system who needs a device with Wi-Fi has it, so that there is never a question about folks being connected or not connected in our school system. We're also, you know, going to be making some huge investments in special education. You know, I know our special ed representatives here know that the impact of the pandemic disproportionately affected students with disabilities. And so we're going to really make sure that every resource available to support students with disabilities are in place in our schools, including offering access to after school and Saturday programming, for academic support as well as related services, but also for our 21+ population, making sure that we are getting them to the finish line. You know, this pandemic really interrupted their learning space. And we can't talk about our students with disabilities without acknowledging 2 parts of the needs of our multilingual learners. One, ensuring that we are supporting not only our multilingual learners in their academic life, but also ensuring that we are supporting and our immigrant families know that they're valued in this system, but also that we provide, language access, and that we are, I know Deputy Chancellor Austin has really been thinking about this in her division, right? How do we bridge the language divide? And so language does not become the reason why parents can't be engaged and actively involved in their school community. And so, and again, we're going to continue on our path to college and career readiness, ramping up AP course offerings, to Dr. Cody's question earlier, and just making sure we are building a really strong system. And so, those are, you will hear probably in the next little bit, the mayor and I announced our academic vision forward. But I think that, since we had this time, it's important that we create a space where not only, are we getting information out to our school leadership, but also to our parent leadership, who we need you all to be partners in the path forward, and an academic vision forward and academic recovery is not going to be whole absent parent connection, involvement, and voice in this moment. And so, I thank you for the time, Marco, starting it by saying, how can we support you? I think the best way that this group can support me is let's really work together to support the academic vision forward, and really be in conversation about where we need additional support. We talk about language access. How do we make that a real conversation? Where are the places that we need to go? Who are the families that we need to speak to? What are the CBOs that are representing families that are underrepresented that we need to get to in this moment, to make sure that the information about our academic recovery plan actually gets to everyone and gets to the people who need it most. So just wanted to share where we are. And again, looking forward to continuing to be in partnership with this group.
Great, thank you. And I see Cecilia, meanwhile, raised her hand. So go ahead.
Thank you, Marco. Chancellor, I just want to share something I learned in the principals meeting, that it was about equity and diversity. One school shared that they had parent ambassadors, and it was a school where I think it was Korean and Chinese language, like parents, the first language was Korean, the first language was Chinese, like of different groups of parents. And they had one parent for each language as an ambassador. I just thought that was a good idea, and they would make sure that all the letters, all the communication, and it was pretty informal, but it made they share that those parents were a lot more involved now that had someone making sure that they were up to date with the information, and were aware of what was going on. So I just thought I would share that.
Thank you. That is a great recommendation, and something that's just happened on the ground that people have just done that we need to lift up as a promising practice. And I also just want to acknowledge this is also a space, we always talk about promising practices from our teachers and our principals, and we need to lift up those promising practices from our parent leadership groups, because I remember even when I was a principal and a superintendent, we had a large population of families from Muslim countries, and we had the bodega owner who would come to the school and say, I just spoke to parents and they don't know what's going on, so I'm coming here, like just on their own to say, let me help and translate. So we definitely want to lift that up, and I think we should definitely do that, Adrian. Think about what are the promising practices happening across with our parent leaders, and how can we share those to build across our system. And I know we have 2 minutes left, but we do have folks from the summarizing team actually on the call. Romy is on from my office. And so Romy, if you can chime in, there were questions about District 26, District 28, Queens waiting lists. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening in those spaces?
Sure. Thank you, Chancellor. And thanks for allowing me to hop on. District 26 and 28 are locations where we have thankfully seen a great response from families and are working to identify additional capacity in these locations. So in District 28, we've opened up additional sites at Q190, we are working to ensure that, we're accepting as many students as we can at Q220 and the other locations. So additional capacity has been identified, and families should be able to be served in District 28. If you're still hearing, and I'm seeing in the chat that there's a little bit of lack of information about what the program is like on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so I'm happy to share a little bit more about that. But we are building capacity. Same in District 26. It's an ongoing process to ensure that we have physical capacity that is safe for families. We are accommodating more and more families. I think District 26 is moving at a slightly slower clip than 28, but we're hoping to continue to welcome families throughout this week and increase our capacity into next week. So you should be hearing more about that. With regard to programming, they are programming is a combination of what's being supported by the CBOs at each individual site, and then additional kind of DOE supports. And so as we, in order to be able to bring folks back and ensure that we can welcome as many students as possible, we open the doors to as many students, and now we are adjusting the plans where sites may have planned for a smaller number. Now that there are a larger number of students, we are adjusting plans for programming, but the intent for programming is that, on the elementary and middle school side, that there are up to 4 hours of academic instruction during the day, and then the evening portion of or the afternoon and into evening portion of the program are meant to be more of the enrichment activities, arts, enrichment trips, those kinds of things that we are working with our CBOs. And so where you may see a little bumpiness in districts 26 and 28 are just as the CBO and the school work through the size of the enrollment and get their programming plan together through the end of this week. I think we're going to see a much smoother program and clarification around schedules for families beginning next week. So right now the work has been to welcome as many students, to keep them, entertained and safe, and lots of good work happening in District 26 and 28 to make that happen. I think the clarity around programming is just as we adjust for greater volume in some of these locations, ensuring that we have a sense of what the uniformity of program is and what folks are able to expect. So I'm hoping that you'll hear more, Jessica, and as we work through, as we work through some of the capacity challenges in these locations, we'll continue to share out more through our teams, through Deputy Chancellor Austin's team, and obviously through your local principals and superintendents. But happy to take other specific questions. And I saw a question about related services and remaining virtual. I will get back to you on that, Maria, or I will ensure our team gets back to you on that.
Leonard's
Jessica,
hand
go
is
ahead
up.
on this subject if you can. Otherwise,
Marco, can I get one last thing?
sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Since
So,
we still
Chancellor, we
the
have a
chance.
new administration coming in, as you know, as you're aware. And I'm curious if you have been in touch with the incoming administration or anyone from our new mayor or our incoming mayor's administration, and whether or not you have an understanding as to whether their priorities and their alignment will be the same as what's happened in the past, or if they're going to have different set of priorities with regard to education in New York City, and whether or not you've really been in touch with them and what you see going forward, whether or not there's going to be a change, certainly in administration and positions and all that kind of stuff going forward.
Hey,
Well,
Leonard.
I'll-
I was just going to jump in. I know, Chancellor Porter, you have to run to the press conference. Leonard, I always love your ambition and your questions. Like, it's the lawyer to lawyer. I love the strategy there. Look, we love coming here and plugging in with CPAC. We're not trying to make news, create news. What we want to do is genuinely connect with parents around questions that you guys have about what you're seeing. So I just want to, I know the Chancellor has to run because she has a very exciting announcement around the academic recovery plans and the stimulus funding and investment that's going to be happening. So she had to run, but also just want to make sure that we're all normed on, like, this is a space where the Chancellor comes in to hear from you, to get ideas from you, to partner with you on initiatives, to hear your ideas. And to the extent that we can make sure this is a time where we're doing that, as opposed to, like sort of asking really political questions and like having a gotcha moment. I would love for us to, we've had a really great run. We've had, I think, some really great meetings, and I would love to keep things on that track.
Adrian, that's not, Adrian, I don't see that as a gotcha question. In January, there's going to be a new administration. I'm wondering, if there's been any discussion of whether or not how they feel, in terms of these priorities that the Chancellor just discussed. I mean, is there going to be do we know what the positions are on G&T? Do we know what the positions are on CRSE? Do we know what any of these positions are? And January is going to be here before you know it.
It is January, going to be here before we know. We just got out a primary. There's a general election. There's a lot of stuff happening. We're really focused on education and making sure we're giving kids a really good summer experience. They are doing summer. DOE is doing summer in a way that it's never been done before. And I think it's really exciting and good for kids. And we are thinking about fall reopening and really trying to make sure that that is seamless and that parents and students have a great experience transitioning from what has been for most an entirely remote experience to now fully in-person experience. So those are the real focus areas, and we've got to stay focused on that because the work is large enough in scope and important enough in significance that we've got to stay focused on that and sort of let all the other stuff that we don't have control of and let all the political stuff happen outside of that.
That's great. Adrian, I have a quick question for you. Are you going to be here at 10? Because we're switching around the agenda because of like last minute changes. So I wonder whether you can take your turn around 10 o'clock.
I'll hop off and hop back on at 10. Does that work?
Oh, you don't have to hop off, but you
I was
can
gonna hop
definitely.
off
But no. If you have to, you do it. But
Yeah.
if you don't have to. But yes,
well, thank
that's
you.
great. If you can come back at 10, that would be fantastic.
Okay, great.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to
Roll call, Mr. Chair.
a roll call. Yeah. So D1, I'm here. Leonard, I know you're there. District 2. And
Oh,
Jamie,
Marco,
I
is the
know you're
live
there.
meeting, is the live link posted? Because I heard from someone that they didn't see a live link.
It is posted, yes.
Okay,
Let
thank
me,
you.
they need to scroll down to the list, and refresh the page if they already seen it before, because it changed like few minutes before as this meeting began. Rashida, you're here, District 4, and Aisha, I think I saw you before.
I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. I remember correctly. District 5, and Luis from District 6.
I'm here.
You're here, exactly.
Yes.
I don't know that District 7 is here.
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you. And is Angela District 8? Yeah,
I am
there
here.
you
Hello.
are. Yeah. District 9, maybe Grizel? No.
Not yet as well.
I saw Maria earlier. District 10, yeah. And do we have District 11, Miriam?
No.
And Doris, District 12? No. Celia, I saw you. District 14? Not here.
Mr. Chair, for correction,
Yeah.
District
The
13.
correction.
It's not
Ben
Ms.
is
Green.
the chair,
Mr. Ben Green is the elected.
is the elected
Council Chair.
president for D3, for D13.
So Celia is no longer the rep from District 13?
No, Marco, good morning.
Yeah.
I'm the rep from Brooklyn High Schools.
Oh, okay.
We had our
Okay,
election
so we
too.
don't have this. So we don't have District 13 at the moment.
Yeah, we
in the
do.
room.
Ben is here.
Mr.
Ben
Ben Green
Green.
is on, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
sorry.
Ben is here.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
Thank you, Marco.
Okay. Cool. So, and then we have, so 14 is not here instead, right?
Correct. Not yet.
15, Justin, maybe I saw him before?
No.
No, I'm wrong. And I did see Marta earlier, District 16.
I'm here.
Yeah. Veronica from 17?
No, Mr. Chair.
No. Then 18, Lubenia? No.
Also not here.
Kelma, 19. No?
I'm
Do we
here.
have district? You are? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Cool. All right, perfect. Thank you. Do we have District 20? No. Randy, I know you're here. District 21, and Sabina, I saw you earlier. District 22, and Josh, I think I saw you as well. District 23.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. I don't see Mati. District 24.
I'm here. Good
Matt is
morning.
here.
Oh, there you are.
Matt
Oh,
is
there you
here.
are.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Maddie.
And do we have Francis, District 25?
No.
No. Cecilia, I know you're here, 26. I believe Lisa, District 27 is here.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm here.
thank you. And Jessica is here. I don't know if we have District 29 present.
I
Probably
thought I
not.
saw her, but no,
And District 30?
definitely
No.
not.
No. And we don't have 31. Jazzy, are you here? District 32?
No, Mr. Chair.
No. No.
Jazz Rivera, no.
And so for Brooklyn, we actually have Celia Green present today. Correct?
That's
what we
correct.
said before,
That's
right?
correct, Marco. Thank you.
Great.
I am here for
Thank you.
Brooklyn. For Brooklyn High Schools.
And Lourdes, I know I saw you.
I'm here.
Bronx High Schools, Jackie from Manhattan High School, I saw you.
What be like?
Shirley, sorry? Yeah.
I said,
And
what it be like?
Shirley, you're here. And I don't think Aaron is here from Staten Island High School.
No.
No.
But
And
Mr.
Marie,
Chair, please
you're
let
right
the
there.
record show that D9, Roselle Cardona is in attendance.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so this is the roll call. So we have agendas.
G75
not
is
agenda,
present
sorry.
too. I don't think you called me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Andrea. What happened to, hold on a second, let me reopen the document.
You went 32 to Brooklyn High Schools. You got to jump from 32 to 75.
I know what I'm supposed to do, but doesn't look like I did it. But I wonder why. May have messed up the document. Just give me 1 second, okay? Just give me 1 second. Oh, because Andrea, I'm sorry, I already put you on as present. Sorry, from before when I saw you were
Okay,
here.
no
That's why.
problem, Marco.
Okay. So we have the minutes from last meeting from June, what it was, June 10th, right? Which you all should have received. If you haven't, I can, let me see if I can open them up just to show them on the screen. All right, you should be able to see them. This is the actual text. But you should all have seen them before.
I'm sorry, Marco and Jimmy, while you're going over the minutes, may
I see your hand raised, Jackie.
may I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just contacted, the president of, for District 20 President's Council. Her name is Tamara Stern. She said she can't get into the meeting. She wasn't sent the link. She's trying to be present. So I don't know if anyone has her contact information. If you could send
We
her.
haven't received her papers. That's why she hasn't been contacted or added to the list.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
she's
so I put that
listening
into
in,
the live stream
listening
link.
in. That's why I didn't ask you privately. So I guess she heard your response.
Yeah, I'm being asked to elevate that for D20, as stated by Madam Co-Chair Jimmy, unless we have received certification or FACE have certified it, it would not be shared. So
All right,
otherwise,
thank you.
have been added.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, maybe we can get that certification right now, even just orally, and fix it. But where was I? Oh, minutes. So is there a motion to adopt these minutes?
Motion to adopt
Scroll back
minutes.
up real
Or
quick.
actually, maybe actually before I should ask for a motion to adopt it, I should ask if somebody has any amendments to these minutes, actually.
Scroll back up real quick, please. Thanks. Okay, we can go back down. Thanks.
Okay, so I don't hear anybody suggesting there should be any amendments. So do we have a motion
Motion
to
to
adopt these
adopt.
minutes?
Second from Manhattan High
With
School.
Lourdes to
Lourdes,
motion
yes.
and Jackie to adopt it. Great. So we don't need to like go for a roll call votes. We just like, I'll say thumbs up or whatever. The minutes are adopted. Oh, actually, now there is a misspelling in
Yes.
Liz's last name, right? Okay, so we
Yes,
actually
it's
will
Echo.
correct that. We will correct that.
ACCL, yes, thank you.
Right, cool. Do we have any other, oh, we do have something else to adopt potentially, right? There was a document that Lourdes and had created, right?
That we're
Lourdes and-
going to do that later.
Right, great. Oh, sorry, that Griselle and you created.
But that's not going to be done today because everyone, we waited for them because it was sent out for comments, and we did not get it finalized for them, Giselle and Lourdes, to finalize it and send it back so that we can send it out with our letterhead. So that's not going to be done today. That has to be done.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that. I thought we went to that.
Yeah.
Apologies about that. I see 2 hand raises. Jackie, you said you had some CPAC business you want to discuss, right? And
Yes,
see
I have
Lisa
three.
raising her hand.
Yes, I have 3 concerns, and I want to make
Okay,
3
let's go with one. Go with one, and then we give it to Lisa, and then we come back to the other ones.
Okay, there has been updated information from the state regarding video conferencing and OML having to meet in public. I'm suggesting that every President's Council represented here, need to agree, vote, and sign a resolution to declare that every parent group, especially PTAs, President's Councils, CPAC, community education, and citywide councils, and all school and district leadership teams maintain the option to meet in person and virtually, and that DOE supports the technology for us to do both. The reason, to name a few, students and educators should be able to get reacclimated to the buildings for 21-22 school year, and with the new variant running loose now and numbers going up, children under 12 not having access to being vaccinated yet, I advise not having various groups, including parents, in and out of school buildings just yet. In addition, there is much more parent involvement virtually, and having the option to continue to meet virtually only will enhance parent participation. Right now, the guidance from the state is saying that we have to meet in person and meet in a place where the public can come if they choose to come in. And I'm asking that we write a resolution to say that all of our meetings for this school year remain virtually. If we choose to do so, we should have that option to either be fully remote or a hybrid, either or.
Just to clarify, so just to avoid confusion, so CPAC is perfectly allowed to continue to meet virtually without any concern.
Yes.
My understanding is that PA and PTAs are also allowed. They can choose whether they want to do in-person meeting, whether they want to do virtual meeting, whether they want to do hybrid meetings.
Right.
I think the biggest issue and lies with CECs at this point.
And leadership teams and school leadership teams.
Correct.
Because school leadership teams have gotten more parent involvement now that they were meeting virtually. So
correct, as well as DLTs, I guess. It's just in the same place.
Yes.
So I know that we have all shared and signed up on the resolution the ECC has been pushing to allow CEC to do that. But I'm actually not sure whether their resolution was discussing SLTs or DLTs as well. So we might we could very much come up with a resolution to support these kind of things if we would like.
So if anyone else is interested, I'll write up a draft if anyone else is interested. But I have two more concerns when you're ready.
Cool. Yeah, let's just move it to yeah.
Okay, we already wrote a letter. A letter was already drafted. It's going to be sent out to the members in regards to her first concerns. So we have the letter.
The first concern being the meetings.
Yes, the open law meeting. So that is done. So it's going to be sent out to the members for review later today or tonight or Friday morning, along with Lourdes and Grisel's letter for review for membership.
Okay. Fantastic. So that's already addressed. Fantastic. I didn't know that. Cool. Fantastic. So let's give it to Lisa one moment. Lisa, you raised your hand.
Hey, how you
earlier.
doing? Hi, Marco. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I just noticed the screen was moving really fast, but I was at the meeting. I didn't see District 27 on the attendance. I think I might have left out a little early because I have physical therapy, but I was at the meeting. I didn't see the school.
You're talking about last meeting, right?
Yes. I was there for a little while, though. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You were not. You were not put in. So Lisa, why don't you make a motion to modify the minutes that we adopted and included also that you were in?
Yes, hi. I wanted to make a motion to modify the minutes to reflect that District 27 was in attendance.
Okay, is there anybody the second?
Second.
Thank you.
Anybody is objecting to the modification? No, so we adopt that modification. Great, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. And
thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Shirley, I think you have the original that you can make that modification, right?
Yeah, I could make the modification. Yes.
Great, fantastic. Thank you. So Jackie, go ahead with the second concern that you had.
Yes, thank you all. The second one is if we're ever going to go back to holding CPAC elections in October, I strongly advise and move that we hold new term elections in November of this year, 2021, especially being in place before the new administration, mayor, takes over in January 2022. If CPAC elections are going to remain in January of every year, then we need to amend the bylaws. Either way.
No. Jackie, that's so the election are going to be in October.
Okay, good. So that scratches my second
When we
concern.
changed it last year, we changed it to January. We actually had originally changed it to December, if I remember correctly. And then at the
Okay.
meeting in December, we voted to move them in fact, technically at the meeting in October, because of our bylaws stating
Right.
that they were supposed to be in October, we voted to postpone them to December.
Very
and then
good.
at the meeting in December, we voted to postpone them to January. And then we actually held them in January. But I don't
Okay,
think we
great.
want to change the bylaws in any way.
No, no,
And
no,
I
no,
think
no, no,
October
no,
is the
no.
right time.
That
October
takes
is the
care.
right time to have the election in normal years. Of course, last year there was problems with President Council having their elections, and we wanted that President Council had their election ahead of the CPAC.
That takes care of my second concern. Thank you.
Okay.
So my third concern is that the executive board meets with FACE along with ECC steering committee. Thus, I would like to move to amend the bylaws that questions to the chancellor and everyone else is based on a first come, first served basis like it was today. It went very smoothly. We are all equal voting members. It is unfair to continue this outdated practice merely because it is written in the bylaws. To have the executive board members ask questions first has been misused in the past, in the recent past, and is no longer necessary. And I would like to know where's the feedback and update communication from the executive board's meetings with FACE. And also our minutes need to be updated on CPAC's website. But
we are actually rebuilding the website altogether, Jackie. On that issue, frankly, I had proposed when we made the review of the bylaws, what it was in last year. I proposed that and it was struck down. So in order to change the bylaws, we cannot just make a motion to change the bylaws. We need to start the whole process of reviewing the bylaws and all that. But frankly, I've been trying to change that from the time I've been around, and it hasn't been, and has been voted down all the time. So I'm not sure it's gonna be changed, but we can try again.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
for a point of information, any proposed amendments to our bylaws need actually 5 signatures of voting members that would actually support the changes. So 5 signatures actually needed for any proposed amendment to our bylaws in order to
Okay, hold on a second. So what you're saying is that we don't
consideration.
actually need to create, don't need to create a bylaw review committee. We could actually change them by simply having a proposal to change, by having 5 members that propose a change.
5 signatures, yes, are needed as part of the bylaws. Yeah,
Okay.
for any proposed amendments.
I'm sorry, Marie. So can signatures be if we all email you at the same time and say people are on this email are signing on to have the bylaws amended? Because it's very difficult to get signatures, even though you have DocuSign, it's very difficult to get actual signatures.
Yeah. I think, I mean, everything that we have is virtual, right? So
yes, she had, Dr. Cody had brought this up before. We were trying to get clarification, even as we were amending the bylaws, how to obtain signatures now that we are virtual. So I think at this point, CCing those who are supporting the amendments, those 5 should be CC'd into the email to confirm their signature agreement and to
I guess they it should be like sending an email to the executive board and to the CPAC email address and to the 5 people that would like to approve it. They all need to reply and say, yes, I confirm that I would like
only if they're in agreement
that's
to the
signature.
Yeah.
Right.
Only if they're in
And
agreement to
that's
the
effective
proposed
is the
amendment.
signature.
Yes.
Right. Cool. Lourdes, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, can someone please clarify what is the request of changes in the bylaws, please?
We don't really have any change right now.
Correct. I'm sorry?
We don't really have any change right now. So,
but there was a proposal made on the table. I want a clarification. I didn't hear it properly. I want a clarification, please.
Yeah. Okay. Jackie, I'm gonna paraphrase you. You correct me if I'm paraphrasing you incorrectly.
Okay.
You wanted to remove the part in which, when the chancellor speaks, the chair, the executive board as presidents in asking questions versus other of CPAC members, correct?
Yes, it's a first come, first served basis. We're all equals, we're all voting members, and the executive board meets or supposed to meet with the chancellor and FACE regularly. So in recent past, it has occurred that when the rest of us had our hands raised and then an executive board member might have remembered a question, raised their hand, and then went before everybody else who was waiting with their hands raised, and different reasons. But when we come into the space, like it happened today, everyone who raised their hands went on a first come, first served basis, whether you were on executive board or not. And it went very smoothly. And I feel that's the way it should go.
Cool. Lourdes?
Yeah, Marco, while that is a great request, you know, being a former executive member myself, you know, the regular meetings with the chancellor had not been happening for quite some time. So not unless that is going to be reinstated and is the way it should be, you know, I would agree with that change. I mean, why not?
Okay, but guys, let's not start discussing a change that hasn't even been formally proposed. So Jackie basically has suggested that she wants this change. She's gonna talk with 5 people, find 5 people that are willing to sign on to it. And then we can actually discuss whether we wanna make that change or not, right? Marie?
Yeah, so
how can you raise your hand? Aren't you a
I did. I don't know, but it's there. Usually you're not able to. So maybe Zoom had made some adjustments. Just as a reminder, that particular rule is part of our CPAC meeting rules and procedures, that in order to speak, and also in our bylaws, that the order is first is the executive board and then our voting members. Sometimes I know it's very difficult. Marco may not remember to actually go to the executive board members first, then followed by our voting members. And that is that CPAC standing meeting rules and procedures, as well as in our bylaws. And it's been observed that way for the past 10 years with CPAC. So just for a point of information. So it's not that easy to be amended or to be changed when, you know, that order is actually followed accordingly.
Okay. Is Adrian, are you here? Did you come back?
She was, Mr. Chair.
No, she
is.
never
Actually,
logged
she is
out
here.
fully. She just went into other things. I think she just stepped out of her computer or
Marco, just give me a couple of minutes. I'm pinging her now just to make sure.
Yeah, no rush. We moved her schedule from 11 to 10, so we can't really hold her. But yeah, if you're able to see if she's available, that would be great. Thank you, Angelica. So actually, while
Shirley
you're
has her
Shirley,
hand
go
raised,
ahead.
Marco.
Go ahead, Shirley.
Okay, we're supposed to also go over 3 points with the members: the healing ambassadors, the Title I, and the proposed changes for the A660. So we don't get off track.
Okay, cool. So let's take care of those things right now while we wait for Adrian, right?
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, Madam Co-Chair.
Oh no, there she is. Let's go with
let's go
Title
I. Okay.
Go ahead, Adrian.
Sorry.
No
Good morning. I'm sorry. I got caught up in work. You guys gave me a few minutes and I made use of them.
Okay, that's no problem. No problem, Adrian. That's nice. And you actually accepted to switch your time, so we can't really then. So go ahead, take the floor. I'm sure there's going to be questions, but maybe there are things that you want to address before we go with questions.
Okay. So I think the biggest news, and I want to say I'm not sure who raised it earlier, but the biggest piece of news that we're all grappling with is around meetings. And I know one of the most, there were a couple of silver linings, not many out of the pandemic, but I think for me anyway, a silver lining was that all of us collectively from the DOE, staff, as a staff person, but also as parents, we all learned technology and we started to bridge the digital divide. And so parents across the board and DOE staff across the board learned how to hold virtual meetings on Zoom, on Teams, and found a way to really seamlessly transition into the virtual space, which actually was both good from, I think, an adult learning perspective of like, wow, it's incredible how many people learned how to do this really highly technical skill, but also from a very practical space of, we've never seen parent participation in meetings like we have across the last 16 months. We literally had a meeting with 90,000 parents who were Spanish-speaking parents only. That's how many parents. We've never been able to pack. That's like packing Madison Square Garden 3 times over. And we did that multiple times where we saw 90,000 parents, close to 100,000 parents showing up to DOE meetings to hear what was happening and participate. And that's the big central meetings, but every, you all as parent leaders have hosted meetings and have had hundreds and thousands of folks show up for the local meetings to hear what's happening locally in public schools, and then also to participate in that and, make their voices heard, make comments, ask questions. And so that is one of the silver linings. And certainly I am very hopeful that we won't lose all of that in this moment, and that we will be able to find ways to create a new path forward that incorporates all of that learning that we collectively did, keeping us going in the direction of bridging the digital divide, but also continuing to engage parents in the rates that we've been seeing. Because ultimately that's civics. That's like the model of our democracy. It's really exciting to have made those sorts of changes, and we wouldn't want to lose that. I will say we are in we have a state problem, a state law problem. And so the issue is the open meetings law. The open meetings law was written in a time where, no one probably contemplated the idea of having virtual public meetings. It just wasn't a thing. It wasn't possible. And so the challenge is going to be to really ask the legislature to make a change and to update that open meetings law, bring it to 2021 and beyond, so that it allows us to do what we've been doing, which is not to say that we don't have in-person meetings, because in-person meetings are important. We want the folks that want to come and actually engage in person. We want for that to be possible. But currently, it's really a huge lift and actually a barrier in some cases for the meetings to happen virtually. So you all know this, but for those of you, parent leaders who are hosting meetings and, parents have other children that they're taking care of, they have other obligations, that you actually, if you're hosting the meeting, if you're a member of a public body, you've got to show up in person. Otherwise, you're considered absent. And so that's a really big hurdle for a lot of parents in this moment. And it will take the state legislature to make the change on that. And so that's where we're going and how we're thinking. I think one of the things I would like to do and that I've started to mobilize internally on is to create a task force and put together some, some suggestions on what we would like to see, where we would like things to go. I will say the legislature is not in session. So unfortunately, that's where we are. It's like the state legislature is not in session. They'll be back in session in January. And so we're sort of stuck in this awkward space of having a law that we have to comply with that really isn't no longer really serves its purpose, which is to promote transparency and civic participation in public meetings for New York City. So that's the news. That's my unfortunate update there. Marco, I'll turn it over to you to sort of facilitate.
Yeah, I actually have a question for you, which you might not have the exact answer, and we might need to ask somebody to check, because I think certain CC meetings are definitely public meeting laws, but I thought there was instead educational law require the meeting to be opened, but not necessarily to follow the specific rule of public to open meeting laws for certain other meetings like PA meeting and other things. But where do you know exactly which entities are? Yes. You do. Okay, great. Can you clarify exactly which entity must comply to open meeting laws and which entity must comply to just having the meeting open to the public, but not necessarily the open meeting laws?
Yes. PAPTAs, President's Councils, DLTs, CPAC, and any other sort of parent body is not subject to the open meetings law. They're not considered public bodies. CECs and SLTs are considered public bodies. And so,
okay, so those two are the ones that, okay, that's great. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure like we have the clear information of where the line is drawn. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I see a few hands
Jackie's
raised.
hands up.
Well, actually, Josh's hands was up just a moment ago.
I didn't see.
It was, yeah.
You let him go because he hasn't asked.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to form this turn this into a question. But honestly, I'm disappointed that we didn't see this coming and start acting on this earlier. We're 15 months into a pandemic, we should have seen this coming. And now, the net result of this is that we have at least 4 months, probably years, given how Albany works, of having to have, potentially parents in our school in unsafe situations, or sort of increasing the risk by having parents in our school. So I don't know that I have a question, so I lowered my hand, but I'm definitely disappointed we didn't see this coming and we weren't more proactive about it. We need to be thinking about safety in the long term because this is not gone. We have Delta variants, now we have Lambda variants, we're going to have flare-ups. I'd really like to know that the DOE is sort of thinking, a couple of steps ahead and not responding, because the governor, the state of emergency went away and now we're responding to crises. So I'm afraid I don't have a question. So you're welcome to respond if you have something there, but I really love to know that we're doing this more proactively than just making it up as we go along.
Thanks, Josh. I understand your frustration, and there are some bills. I think the bill that I saw that I was like, oh, this is interesting was A8134. So there is some legislators were thinking about this and trying to introduce legislation. This whole pandemic has been a bit, sort of because of the way, I guess, the politics and the decision-making sort of flows down to the municipality and then to the administrative agency, and lots of surprises. And so to the extent that we could say like, oh, we should have anticipated that the governor would have like ended the state of emergency before the summer, and then by flowing through that, all of the executive orders that were attached to that would sort of dissipate before the summer. It would have been nice to anticipate that. I think we all thought, at least from the agency perspective, that we would have until September. We kind of were all gearing up and thinking, okay, by September, we've got to have this all figured out. But, we got surprised a little bit. And so I hear you. It's like, oh, if only we would have known, and if only the legislature would have known, and then could have passed the legislation that they introduced. But I think people just weren't, people, I don't know how much, people were making the connection to the collateral consequences of ending the state of emergency. And this was a huge collateral consequence for New York City, not so much of a big deal upstate where there's one public meeting a month held by the school board. But in this city where there's thousands of public meetings held a month because of our school governance structure, it's a huge deal. And we are sort of now trying to figure out and coordinate with parents to figure it out. But I hear you. It's frustrating. Trust me. I'm frustrated.
Is there any possibility for emergency orders at the city or DOE level?
I wish we can. We can't sort of trump state law. And so here the state, and there's only limited circumstances where even, the governor can intervene and create the kind of executive order that would supersede state law. And that's a state of emergency. So when he ended that, sort of his power to do that ended. I do know the governor, I think, is the only person who can call a sort of emergency session of the legislature. And I don't know, how much, I don't know. I don't know the political interest in doing that, but certainly that would be the mechanism for getting something in advance of January.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, Jackie, can we hear from Ben and then Cecilia and then you, because we haven't heard from either one of them?
No problem, Jimmy. I just want to say real quick, Josh and everyone, I'm putting the state's guidance on having hybrid meetings in the link. So you can have in person as well as remote, as long as you have it in a place where the public can show up if they want to.
Thank you. Ben?
Yeah, Ben, go ahead. District 13 for the first time, Ben.
Good Good morning, everyone. Glad to be back here up here, CPAC in the meeting. I'm still a little confused about what we are out there telling our parent bodies about open meeting law, because at one time the DOE was telling us that SLTs are open to anyone under open meeting law, and then we said that our parents are we under open meeting law with our PTA. So give me clarification, and if not, direct me into where it says and what state law it says it under, so I can read it myself. Because I don't want to spread more confusing information to our PTA presidents and parent leaders in our district and around the city, on top of the state of confusion that we have with the governor and the mayor. Thanks.
Adrian, maybe correct me. Let me attempt an answer, and then you correct me, since you are a lawyer and I'm not. I think the difference is that the open meeting laws are required for anybody that makes policy decisions. So that's where SLTs are required to be following open meeting law, because they do make policy decision for the school, while the PA is not required, because they do support the school in many ways, but they do not make policy decisions. So the difference is, the same is true for CCs. CC do make policy decisions, while other parent organizations don't make policy decisions. Maybe they might make suggestions, they might collaborate, but they are not bodies designed to make policy decisions. So like Adrian said before, PAs and BTAs are required to give access to anybody who wants to listen to the meeting, but they are not subject to open meeting laws. SLT are instead subject to open meeting laws. DLTs are subject to open meeting laws. President councils are not. CCs are, CPAC is not. And I think that covers all the meeting, or did I left some out?
So let me ask this, and then maybe that's where the confusion is what's the difference between a policy and an agreement, when I'm basically getting from you? You're saying that if a PTA is making a decision, because we do have things like uniform policies that somebody got some loud background noise. Yeah. It's hard to pick. Okay, thank you.
I think oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like we got uniform policies that PTA makes decisions on in the school, and if the principal comes up and says, "Hey, I just got a grant for $2 million, and I want the parents to," and in that grant is a policy saying that. So I need to know if we're saying PTAs are not open to open meeting law and CPAC, when someone comes up to us and say, "Hey, according to this policy, y'all have to give us and make a decision on it," and how that is, because that's where it'll get confusing with people, where and I'm just going back to the point is that I like the hybrid. It gave us a lot of our parents able to participate and engage into decision making, but at the same time, I don't want us to go back into that era where we got these silos of parent leaders and DOE administrators making decisions for the general body. I don't think is what we're trying to do, but I don't want us to get caught up into that, where we want parent participation, we want parent input. We don't want it to be going back into an era where we were just in silos. So like I said in the beginning, that's where the confusion comes from: agreements and policy making, which and I think Adrian Mike can give me a little bit more guidelines on that or a clarification on it.
Thanks, Ben. I hear your point entirely. So the difference is this: the state law, we have no flexibility. Open meetings law says the meetings must be open, and it's pretty strict in terms of, you know, the language there. They must be open. All of the members must be in person, publicly in a place that's publicly available and accessible to the public. There are notice requirements and more. And it's all set out in the state law, which means that as a city agency, we have no flexibility. We can't give a reprieve. We've got no jurisdiction to do anything that's different than the state law. For the PA, PTAs, the DLTs, president's councils, that's set out in the Chancellor's regulations, and the Chancellor's regulations follow the state law, but it's not open meetings law. It's an education law. We have more flexibility. If you go to A660, we have some language in Chancellor's regulation A660 to say, you know, that the PA, PTA meeting should be open to the public, but there's no strict sort of guidelines of it that we must follow in the same way as open meetings law, because it's regulated differently. And violations of the open meetings law can trigger a lawsuit. Somebody could file a claim, et cetera, et cetera. For the Chancellor's regulation, you know, most likely it would result in a grievance. It's just sort of, if you mentally separate it and say one is state law, DOE has no ability to control it. We must adhere to it and comply, or we get sued, versus PA, PTAs, and other bodies that are not considered public bodies, who there's more flexibility around how the meetings can be held.
Yeah, because I think Letitia James, who's our Attorney General right now, when she's a public advocate, she put out a lawsuit about SLTs being open to the public and under open meeting law. So that's the reason why I'm being very careful about what we turnkey to our parent leaders that later on gets construed or get confused, and want to make clear, you know, with PTAs, because right now we are telling PTAs, well, you're not subject to open meeting law, and I think that's been, the DOE has been saying that to us for years, that we were subject to open meeting laws, making sure that we had parents that participate and that we had to have it in the school. But right now, what it's more and more sounding like is that, oh, it's under Chancellor's regulation and it's a suggestion, not a must. So now this is where I get a little concerned about we going back into the days where we got all these silos and parents are not fully participating, and that we're not engaging parents like we've been saying we want to do. That's where I get a concern about and worry about that now PTAs are going to go and start going in the back room.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, you have to interrupt. Mr. Chair, we have other members who are waiting to speak. There's a 2-minute time allotted, and I have been adding into the chat. Please follow that. It's an attempt at fairness so that other members get to speak and ask questions. This is as per our meeting procedures and rules. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Maria. Okay. I didn't know about the 2-minute rule.
Okay, don't worry, Ben. It's okay. But just to end that issue, the fact that the PAs are not subject to open meeting laws doesn't mean that the meetings are not public, right? They still need to be accessible to the public. So that's a big difference. But that still allows you to make it public, but make it public online rather than make it public in person. Let's go to Celia. Celia Green.
Thank you, Marco. Good morning, Deputy Chancellor. My question is really what a lot of parents have been asking about. Where does Title I fall in terms of the guidelines for these meetings? Because there was nothing like put out in the email that had Title I in it. And I know Title I is federal, but can we have hybrid meetings? Do we have to have online meetings? Do we have to have in-person meetings? What's going on with the Title I? And the other part of my question is, I know that CECs and citywides are state, so they all have to have in-person meetings. However, I wanted to ask about their committees. Do their committee meetings also have to be in person? because we get a lot more people when it's online.
Yeah, any meeting, the CC meetings and the committee meetings for the CCs are, I believe, all public. The calendar meetings are public. They're all considered public because it's a public body. And so that's sort of the distinction, the logical distinction between the two. If it's a public body holding a meeting, it's got to be public. If it's not a public body, then the meeting doesn't have to be subject to the open meetings law. So it's a public body making public policy decisions. Title I, good question. I don't believe a Title I is considered a public body. I will check with our general counsel's office, but I don't believe that that's the case. So I don't believe they have to comply with the open meetings law, which means that there can be that flexibility.
Okay, so can you definitely get back to me on that? Because there are many, many schools that want to know if their Title I needs to be in person. And one of the questions I have is because I was at my CEC yesterday, and not CEC, sorry, citywide yesterday, and capacity of the building is an issue because not all buildings are allowing you to have, it's not like you can just have 500 people come to your meeting. You have a limited amount. Yesterday we had 20 spaces, and if let's say 11 of them are the elected people plus the AA, you have X amount of spaces left. So I need to know if we're going to do this hybrid thing, what about building capacity? Are they expanding the capacity for us for the meetings or something? And I doubt that with the variant going around, but we need to know because it makes a difference as to where we are going to book space and definitely letting people know that 400 people cannot show up if we only have 20 spots.
Adrian, since you understand you're gonna check with the general counsel on these issues, would you mind maybe definitely get back to us, but maybe just put a note on the end of week wrap up if you get information on time for it so that it circulate widely. And I know everybody here receives that email so that everybody also will get the answers. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela District 8 is next with her question.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Angela, go ahead.
Hi, how are you? And we're very thankful to you for being here. I have a question. So it was in District 8, but this is actually beyond the District 8 question. We had the concern brought up as to the President's Council terms, whether the President's Council terms end on June 30th. From what I looked at within the Chancellor's regulations, the terms for all of the positions must be filled by September 30th. However, so you could have an election in September. It can be done before June 30th, but that kind of makes it a little difficult because a lot of the PAs and PTAs, especially during this year, were rushing to get all of their elections done by June 30th. So you can't have both things happening simultaneously. And this is a big concern because it was brought to me that, FACE had a discussion with the administration, who then notified me that then because, we did not have our elections by June 30th, then what that meant was that we could not have meetings during the summer, during this time period where, quite honestly, I'm just trying to get people reconnected, re-engaged, prepared for the future, right? We want to have parents connected. That's what this is all about. So I want to have clarification of that verbally, but I'm also requesting to have something in writing to clarify this whole thing, that the positions are still active until they're filled, as long as they are filled by September 30th. And I think that that's very important because we are, like I said, trying to re-engage parents and support parents best as we can. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. You're absolutely correct. This actually did reach me this morning, like a long email chain that was going. I know Sadie, the new executive director of FACE, is on top of it. So she is going to be plugging in directly to make sure that everyone's on the same page, but you're absolutely correct. And so if there was some, confusion out there or something that wasn't accurate that was said, we're going to double back and make sure that everyone's on the same page, because you're correct.
I appreciate it. As I said, listen, we're all on this page trying to just get everyone reconnected and re-engaged and working with you to partner to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks.
19.
Hi, good morning. My question I'm not even sure if it's a question, but when Ms. Torres was talking about getting parents, keeping them connected or reconnecting them in that capacity, I just wanted to speak on the parents who are physically disabled, who have difficulties getting into the public meetings and having public access. I realize, and this has been going on for a very long time, that community, the parents who are physically not able to go to the building, their participation becomes very little. And we definitely want that community as well to be a part of what's happening in our schools with our children. So I just wanted to, bring that to the forefront because I haven't heard anything about that. Me being a disabled parent myself, definitely when we have the meetings online, it does make it that much easier for parents to attend. I know a lot of the schools in my district aren't as accessible to parents for them to be a part of. And so their participation becomes less. And I know there's a lot of parents who are like myself who do want to participate and who does want to be active, and that opportunity isn't allotted for them.
Thank you so much for raising that. First of all, it's a civil right. I mean, under the American with Disabilities Act, every parent, every member of the public who wants to participate in one of our public meetings is entitled to participate, and we are required to make our spaces accessible for that participation. There is I think a revision or a new chancellor's regulation that is up for the PEP, which sort of spells this out. And it's actually up, I think, on the calendar for discussion and vote in the next PEP meeting. It is Chancellor's Regulation A710, which just makes it explicitly clear that this is what the law states and we must do that. And so, that's true for PAPTAs. That's true for, anyone. We all must be compliant with the law that protects folks with disabilities and make sure that there's access. So I hear you 100%, 1000%. Every meeting that is held in a government space, including DOE, needs to be accessible to parents, all parents. And where you are seeing issues or where there's challenges, where there are, either whoever's hosting the meeting is not compliant, please raise that up. Please add me to the email, send me an email. Because it's the law and it's something, thank God we have laws that protect all of us and protect our civil rights. And this is a right that's protected. So thank you for lifting it up. There's a chancellor's regulation on it just to make it super explicitly clear because we've heard complaints from other parents that these meetings have not been accessible and folks have a right to attend.
Thank you. And Thelma, just to clarify, you would like to have online options. You find that online option will be, of course, no limiting if there is, but the online option are very useful to that end, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it affords those parents who cannot attend the buildings to have that access. I've seen the participation jump because of the availability of being online.
Great.
And that's something we have control over. So I think, I'm looking to put together like a working group. CPAC, please don't be mad and say how many working groups can y'all ask us to participate in? But I would love to have a working group on this issue of what have we learned? Hopefully we've learned a lot in this last 16 months about how to hold meetings and what direction we want to go. And I would love to have a working group start to put together a series of recommendations, both to the state and also to us as an agency around all of our bodies, all of our school governance structures for what the future should look like.
Cool, thank you. Jackie, then I think we are out of time probably, but Jackie, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Deputy Chancellor Austin, how are you?
Hi, good. Oh, you're such a positive, energy. I love that. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning, Jackie.
Well, even though we can't go to the beach today because Elsa's on her way, there's no reason we can still mentally go to the beach. Yes, thanks. I did send you an email, but since you're here, I might as well ask you, who can we speak with at Central regarding transportation for students who are bused to their schools? Many participate in after-school activities and cannot take the school bus home. This is not allowing students to receive full services, extracurricular, to enhance social and emotional wellness. If a student is bused to school, they are not eligible for student Metro cards. This is sending mixed messages to our youth, and it is encouraging the pipeline to prison for youth. In order to get home, they may be subjected to fare evasion or police harassment. So we need to get all of our students Metro cards, actually, just like how we got lunch for everybody. Who can we speak with and work with on that?
Kevin Moran, and I will connect you immediately. I already connected Shirley. Hopefully Shirley I'm hoping you got the answers that you needed from Kevin, but I'll make sure that you're connected as well, because Kevin Moran is like the czar of busing. He is in charge. So I'll
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Aiden. I think we probably, since we started the meeting early, we can probably end it early, unless I'm leaving. No, probably I left something out that we
Just a
need to
minute,
address.
Marco,
there's a whole bunch
I
of
did
stuff
not
left.
do we did not get the update on Title I.
Okay,
We
I
did
knew
not
that.
get the
I knew
information
that.
on the A660, nor have we had the updated information about Helen Ambassadors. So I would like to be able to share the information about the Title I. So I'm able to share my screen?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. I had the opportunity to go to the 2021 National Conference for FACE, June 1st through the 14th, June 1st through the 4th. And I like to share some information because it was a lot of timely information given. And I'm going to break it down on how it was shared with us. And I'd like to give you the overview of the virtual event. It was by the Institution for Educational Leadership, and it recognized the importance of the family and community engagement as an essential element in efforts to improve outcomes for the children cradle to career. Successfully engaging families, strengthening family-school partnerships, and aligning efforts requires building the capacity of everyone involved. The ratification of multiple crises, public health, racial justice, and economic have magnified and exacerbated challenges in our most vulnerable communities. As the pandemic unfolded through various stages, schools and districts with good engagement and practices and deep community partnerships were in a better position to respond to the crisis, innovate, and build on promising approaches. The 2021 National Family Community Engagement Conference provides an opportunity to highlight innovation and high impact strategies. And this year, they were excited to highlight extremity family engagement work in the school district of Philadelphia. And they joined us as state leaders, school and district leaders, administrators, educators, community-based organization, researchers, and parent leaders come together to focus on solutions that enhance and expand engagement through family, school, community partnerships with pre-conference sessions, plenaries, workshops, deep dive sessions, and more. And participants will be engaged in many examples of high impact engagement work taking place across the country. And this did take place because during the meetings, as we went into a workshop, we broke out into breakout rooms where we met different people from all over. They were from UK, New Mexico, California, South Dakota, you name it, they were there. And we had the opportunity to engage, and we broke out in these sessions 2 to 3 times. And the session also went as it shows the strands. It was a field building, personal and professional capacity building experience designed to reinvigorate the spirit of the attendees and equip them with confidence and capabilities in knowledgeable areas, such as there were 6 areas. And this is the first one. Parent leadership, advocacy, and community organizing. It was parent leadership and advocacy are essential for sharing power and ensuring that school improvement is inclusive of all families. The next was early learning and literacy. Engaging families in learning with their young children helps ensure that they are reading on grade level by grade 3 and trajectory for life success. The next was promote inclusion, ensure equality, and create opportunity. The equality and exclusive education addresses the need for authentic inclusion for diverse students and students with disabilities and their families. Then we had relationship building and trust. Community partnerships and connections foster social relationships and resiliency for youth and families. Integrated systematic approaches. Systematic practice and policy helps ensure that family engagement becomes an integral part of education through alignment at all levels of practice and planning. We also had research, evaluation, and data collection. Collecting research, policy, and practice is critical to improving and sustaining outcomes for children, youth, and families. Okay, Shirley, you can take over the next part.
Okay, so this specific one, educating, their acronym is ELECT, Education Leading to Employment and Career Training, and Policy 234. This is, Philadelphia was the host of the virtual national conference, and they brought up, families consist of a whole lot of different sets, right? And we have children who has children in our education system. So Policy 234 is for pregnant, parenting, and married students. It's to assist pregnant, custodial, and non-custodial of young students that are under 22 to obtain a high school diploma or its equivalency. So under Board of Education Policy 234 in Philadelphia, pregnant and parenting students have the same rights of all other students, and the school must provide adjustments to continue your education and extracurricular. They must have excused leave after giving birth, uniform adjustment for those mothers who are pregnant, chest breastfeeding and pump accommodations, excuse absences and tardiness because they have children themselves even though they're in school, access to support services, and confidentiality. So the ELECT, their objective is to facilitate a district-wide implementation of the Policy 234 that we just went through, and to create a culture in schools that is both responsive and supportive of educational rights and needs of the youngest families. FACE, they also have a FACE, and there is family and community and engagement approach is if they demystify expectations through targeted training and technical assistance and partner with schools and community stakeholders to disseminate messaging and provide tangible tools, we can build capacity in schools to champion the education attainment of pregnant and parenting students. In other words, everybody get together and help these students attain their education and training to help them for the future, along with their children. Because they also have some of them have children in the school system as well. So is all the stakeholders, CBOs, community-based organizations, parents, students, administration, services from the city or the federal government, to help these students to make sure they receive the same quality education that we want for all other students, including those with including special education. So their process, they have a 3-phase strategy process, is to develop digestible collateral and trainings. So we train those who are educating these students, who special students who have families themselves, who have children themselves, engage in internal and external partnerships, again, aligning them with services that will help make their life and educational experience better, and with the end goal of receiving their high school diploma. Creative and innovative programs and tangible tools. So these students also have to have a special education. So not only that they get the academic services that they need, but we also want our students to be career ready and civic minded. So they give them programs to, varying with their family situation, they can also attend training and career development as well. You could go to the next slide. Again, the strategy, education, and outreach. Let everybody know what is going on, what is the needs. Make sure this message is clear across the board. Stakeholder engagement. Everyone is involved to ensure their education needs are met. And then come up with creative and innovative and elevated ways to achieve those goals. So this is the services. I'm not going to read them all. For the program services for the elect core, for that specific target groups that we're trying to make sure that they are not left behind. Next slide. And we always think about the mothers, but we also have to remember when there's a child, there's also fathers who are involved, and they should be involved. We also have to help them adjust and train just like we do with the mothers. That's it for the slide presentation. But the whole point of the conference, which was family and community engagement, they had different workshops and people across the country shared the ideas of what their school system did. So it was an awesome thing. And here Jimmy is sharing that was the basic theme of the entire conference, that family and community matters, and our families, we all should be working together. And we have our own face, right? Family and community empowerment of our families. And so it's very similar, same acronym. And everything we do, the ultimate goal is to make sure everyone are treated equally. All families have access, including special education and disability, and those special students who are also parenting children themselves. So that was the goal. And I think here in New York City was also highlighted with the access schools, with the high schools. So it was really good, and we're on similar paths. It shows that they brought out what the positive of the pandemic. We all could get together, virtually. More people are engaging and being involved and being empowered. So we would like to continue that process here. And this is why everybody's concerned about the public meeting laws, because more people participate, more ideas, more people have access, more people, it'll be more fair, and the students is the ultimate goal, will benefit from this. I don't know, Jimmy, you want to go ahead?
Yes. Also, if you do not know, the Title I money is rolling over again this year. So please, if you're a Title I school, make sure as parent leaders, you know whether or not if you used all of your Title I money when it comes to being able to engage the parents. So if you didn't, you could use that along with this year's money. But do not wait to the last minute. You need to begin to fill and get your workshops or whatever you need to do to have that in place, because you have to bring it to your body of parents. The parents have to have an input. You need to have it, and then you share it with the SLT, who will approve that budget and whether or not if we can go forth. If not, we would have to bring it back. But this is what needs to be done. Thank you. That's the end of our presentation. And now we will do the A660. Is Randy on?
I
He
think
is, Madam Chair.
Excuse me?
He is on.
Okay, Randy, would you like to begin with the updates with the A660?
Did we lose her?
yeah, when I was speaking, I saw that she probably have tech issues. She dropped off. So
Well, Shirley, that leaves you.
Yeah, so
Okay, yes,
I
let's
did
just
a
wait
lot
a
to-
moment. I think she's not on right now. She probably just lost connectivity or something. Let's give her a couple of a minute or two.
Well, we could come back. Rashida could do the healing ambassador.
Oh yeah, let's do that. If we haven't lost Rashida too.
Ms. Harris is on.
Okay, while we wait for Rashida, I actually noticed that D29 is here before I have missed you. Kamaria,
And Mr.
sorry.
Chair, that's in addition to D17 as well as D14. It's Shalonda and Veronica Clark.
Yeah, thank you. Great.
Rashida, you have connection? She might be having technical difficulties too. So Shirley, Randy didn't come back to update, to start the update. Can you start?
Okay. So everybody, Randy and I brought back the feedback from the parents, and the other party of the group of the committees came back with their feedback from the FLCs and parent coordinators. So at this point in juncture, we have made some modifications on some of the proposed changes based on the feedbacks that came back from the parties. And the hybrid, which was the main concern of is that for quorum is going to be 1 and 1. One of the each, you need 2 executive board members to make quorum. One has to be present in person, one on the virtual platform to constitute quorum if you decide to do a hybrid, because it will have options. And again, this has to get approved. So we're at the stage now writing it up and presenting it to the bosses, and then they will review it, and then it has to go through legal, and then after legal, it will go to PEP for a vote. And hopefully all this will be able to go into effect in September. And again, like we were discussing earlier.
Will be a vote in August, at the PEP meeting of August?
Yes, that's the aim, because it's not gonna be in time for July. We don't think it will be in time for the July vote, the PEP meeting, for them to vote. So we're looking for, Amy was aiming for July, but by the time they probably go through legal, and probably won't be in time for the July PEP meeting. So in August, they should be voting on the proposed changes to the A660. And if that gets approved, then it will go in effect immediately in September.
Cool. So let's
And of
give it to
course-
Rashida now, right?
Thank
Or
you,
there are more?
Shirley. Rashida?
Hi, okay, thank you. Apologies for not being responsive when you called my name. I stepped away for a moment. So, hey y'all, hey, Rashida Harris here, parent leader, president for District 4, East Harlem, President's Council, and I'm a member of the Bronx Healing Center Schools Working Group. And so Healing Center Schools Working Group is working in conjunction with the DOE on this Healing Ambassador program. And I think everyone on this space knows about the Healing Ambassador program. And I'm hoping if folks, I just want to say that, you know, I guess I'll reiterate that the DOE has a program where they're selecting a parent or caregiver from each school, from selected schools, eligible schools, not all schools are eligible, to participate in a 4-part training during the summer, and will be asked to facilitate a workshop, turnkey the information that they learned over the summer, focused on trauma responsive and trauma informed care and healing center practices that you can bring into your home and into the school. I want every single school who is eligible to have this position filled, and hoping that if your school is on the list and we don't have a healing ambassador selected yet, we can try to get together and figure out a way to get a parent to sign up for that. If you have any questions, I can answer. I'm sure y'all have all been receiving my emails. Yes, it's a one-time thing. Yes, it's also a stipend involved. It's a $500 stipend you will receive after completion of this, the 4-part training. In the summer, you'll receive the $400, and after facilitating the workshop, you will receive the last $100. All of the training sessions will be in different languages, and all of the, I think it's 8 languages that the DOE offers for interpretation and translation. You can even facilitate the workshop in your native language, and all the other folks will receive interpretation and translation for their languages, right, to receive the information. I don't want to say much more, but we'll, of course, put my email address in the chat and on the live link if you have any questions. I am a parent volunteer. I do not get paid for this, but I'm really interested in hoping that we can move forward with making more healing-centered schools and creating healing spaces for our children and our school staff and parents overall. And I have the updated list if anyone needs to know. Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Raise your hand, unmute, or put it in the chat. What schools have not joined?
Okay. Jackie, you have a question for Rashida, or you have something else?
Yeah, I would like to call on everybody in CPAC right now, right here in this virtual space, and also in YouTube, to give Rashida a big rounding applause, because my girl has done, she's talking about she don't get paid, she's volunteer. She has done a 6-figure salary job with the Healing Ambassador, girl. I'm gonna tell you some other stuff behind the scene, but we need to be applauding you. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Rashida. You held it down, you followed up, you made sure people, I don't know if everybody ever got back to you, but you did your due. You did your due. Thank you, Rashida.
Thank you, Dr. Jackie, and thank you for your support. I just want to elevate that to everyone on the space and on the live. Our biggest challenge is high school, and we all know how that goes in regards to high school and parent involvement, and yeah, just parent involvement and dedicating time. It's not easy at all. When our children get older, we have so much other things going on if we have more than one child. So we are really having challenges finding parent or caregivers to raise their hand and participate in this program for our high schools. And so we need help. We need help. finding these high school parents or caregivers to sign up for this. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Dr. Jackie. Any other questions?
Lourdes got her hand raised.
Hey, Lourdes.
Thank you. Hey, Rashida. Yeah, the question is around, how were the schools, how were these schools actually appointed to this program? I mean, I understand it has to do a lot with the area where they are in regards to COVID-19 and so on and so forth. But I mean, in reality, I think there were schools that were omitted from this list that should have been in it. Who picked them and how were they, how they become part of the list?
Thank you for that question, Lourdes. So the schools were initially selected by the hardest hit, the areas that were hardest hit by COVID, declared by the mayor. At the time. And I say at the time because I've already spoken to so many Bronx families whose schools were not eligible and said at what time, because at a particular time we had an area that may have been hardest hit, but then a tiny bit later, you know what I mean, another area could have been suffered just as much. But unfortunately, at the time when the mayor declared these areas hardest hit by COVID, those are the schools who fell within those districts and the communities eligible for this program. And this is a program that is privately funded by a grant. And so all of that had to be laid out when applying and awarded this grant. So that can't be changed. There's a lot of different situations where we're hearing like a school is like right here and like right across the street and not eligible. They're in the same community. We still have the families from the hardest hit community, attending school at this school who's not eligible, right? So it unfortunately is set in stone, the actual schools that are selected for this particular program, but always want to continue to remind folks that we can all still do the work where the DOE is definitely trying to craft out a space and a way to share resources after this is done in regards to the trainings and, recordings and facilitating more workshops at other schools and just all of us uniting and trying to support one another. There's a TREP training program. TREP stands for Trauma Responsive Educational Plan that the DOE is offering for all of their DOE staff members. And it's also open to the community. So all parents and, caregivers or community members can take this training virtually. It's a long training as it should be, but it is open and I'll share the link as well. For folks to receive this training, to learn more about trauma-informed and trauma responses, and can bring that work to their school, can bring it up in their SLTs, can actually, like at the Bronx Healing Center Schools Working Group, we actually have these trainings together with each other in work sessions, study sessions, and we train you around how to create what we call a transformation team at your school, right? It always obviously must come from school leadership, but this is something that we can all do without this program. It would be nice for all of us to participate and receive the stipend because we all know how hard we work, blood, sweat, and tears, and not be compensated. But it may not be the end of it, right? We have a lot of money floating around. We have a lot of different initiatives happening, and we can figure out how we might be able to apply for some other grants or just apply some of this money to our schools, to do something very similar. So, yep. And Lourdes, I need your help with these Bronx high schools.
Yes, thank you. It's like pulling teeth.
Help me with the hands.
Marta also has a question.
Okay, Marta.
Hi, so I know I asked you this question earlier, but through email. But however, we're still having trouble getting a parent for the high school. I'm part of two different schools, one in District 16, which I am the healing ambassador for that school, but my other son's school in District 32, the high school, is having trouble identifying someone, and I don't mind doing it twice. I don't need to get 2 stipends. Is that stipulation still that I can't do it for both schools?
So Martha, it's not that you cannot. So the quick answer is yes, you may do it for both. Unfortunately, you won't get 2 stipends. And I know you said you don't care about that. The only issue that arises is that these schools that are eligible, the money is allotted for the school. So it's like, if we don't get another parent or caregiver for that school, that stipend, that's right, we're not able to use that stipend. We're hoping that you can get another parent to possibly partner with you. I do also understand that a lot of the reservations for some of the parent and caregivers is that number one is during the summer, right? Folks are checked out. And we're just tired and we want to disconnect. Also, folks hear that they have to facilitate a workshop at the end, and that's it for them. They want to learn all about the practices. They wouldn't mind trying to build community and build the support services around healing-centered practices in their school, but they don't want to facilitate a workshop. So these are things that we can discuss with one another and say, if you sign up, to be the official healing ambassador, you'll still receive support, right? Martha, you could be like, look, I will work with you. I can help you. I'm doing it for my other school. If there's a training you might not be able to attend, like, let's discuss it and work it out. Like, I really don't want to promote that because I want folks to be able to attend all 4. But we can work it out. We really want to try to fill a slot for each individual school with a separate parent or caregiver, just to really take full advantage of this initiative. But you can do it. You can do both. If you cannot find absolutely anyone else from the other school, you can do both. You just won't be able to receive the stipend, 2 stipends.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. I think we are done with all the elements of our agenda, unless I left something out.
No, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention that Sadie Kempalamo, Executive Director of FACE, would so like to join us, and I was told about 11:15 she'll be able to join us.
Sounds good to
Okay.
me. One of the things that I feel that you can do when you're having the high schools, why not reach out to their superintendent, who's supposed to have the list of the schools, and the superintendent has a better chance in reaching the school and helping out. So this way that you can get whoever it is. If not, then reach out to FACE, because they are supposed to be able, if they're selected the schools that are in need of this, then they should be the ones to help us to make sure that the schools have the selected parent that needs to be there. Because I know we had that issue. I know that the president of Manhattan High School did all the reaching out through the contacts. I've reached out with her. We talked, we discussed it, and then I wind up reaching out to FACE myself, letting them know all the steps that have been done. So that's another way to make sure that, as a way of getting the healing ambassador for that high school.
Thank you, Jimmy. I finally was able to contact some of the Bronx high school SUPs, and it has proven to be very successful. So you're correct. So I'm definitely going to call you later, and talk to Claudette and everyone. And we have a little bit of work to do, but I think me personally, as a parent volunteer, I'm not connecting with the right folks. So we'll get it done.
Been working, since we talked. I've been reaching out, and it's coming through. So it'll work.
Thank you all. Okay.
I see.
So I'm gonna.
No, hold on. There is that hand raised. The 11, Miriam.
Miriam.
Sorry, my choir is in full mode in the background. I apologize. I just want to throw this out there. I just think I think this program is amazing. It's amazing, and I stand by it 100%. But as a district leader, I have to look out for all the schools in my district. And even if my school wasn't selected, which is okay, if a parent goes through the training and the process and they feel uncomfortable with doing the presentation, it's kind of like as a parent leader within my district, it kind of would fall under me and my board's responsibility to kind of be that extra support in helping them have that workshop with their school as when the time comes for them to have that workshop. So I just feel like I know that everybody's selected and everybody has its representation has to be from within the school, but in future reference, maybe it's wise also to consider having some district leaders involved so that we could step in as we would normally have done in whether it be elections or any kind of discrepancies within a school and within a PTA to step in, that we as parent leaders for the district would have been able to do the same. But thank you. That's all I wanted to share.
No, Miriam, that's a perfect way to end so folks are having fresh in their mind. This is not the end. We are definitely planning as we speak how to build this out on a district level, how to build this out with our parent leaders who are interested in supporting all the other schools. So this is not the end of it. It's just this one particular initiative that they had, like I said, you know, but it's not the end of it. This is why I'm so excited, because there's so many folks who want to do this work and who are interested. So we're definitely crafting up ways to for next steps.
But in collaboration with that, the parent of that school would not really be attending that workshop alone, because the parent coordinator is supposed to go along with her as the support, so that will be the support team. And we do know that parent coordinators have their monthly meeting. So those schools that have been selected and the parent coordinators go, they're going to give the presentation, I assume they should know, at their parent coordinators meeting. So it will go out to all the parent coordinators in the district. And in return, they should be able to turnkey it into the school, to the parents and to everyone, and have a workshop.
So was that a question or a desire, or is that a reality?
No, what I'm saying is parent coordinators are going to this meeting with the parents. They are invited to it.
Oh,
so
okay.
it is the parent along with the parent coordinator, so that when the parent has to do that presentation at the school, it's going to be presented with the parent coordinator helping to facilitate it or move on. But we also know that parent coordinators get professional development. So in return, they will be bringing this information back and sharing it. The same way that our PAs, we go back and share our information to our president council and our PAs. This is the same thing that the parent coordinators should be doing to the other parent coordinators when they come to their meeting. So this way they have this information and they can share it out, because that's transparency and teamwork and building. So everyone has the knowledge that they need to know, the information to keep it going. So that's how it really should be going if they involve. Just like us as parents, when we go this and we have to come back, the parent coordinator should be doing the same thing.
Cool. And I see two more hand raised. I see Aisha.
As far as the healing ambassador, like Jimmy, we were just talking about the parent coordinators. There are some schools in my district that don't have a parent coordinator. Like my son's school, elementary school, doesn't have a parent coordinator yet. So there will only be one person going through that. We have a parent, but not a parent coordinator. So in those instances, and we have a few of them, we're gonna have to find a way to get support outside of the parent coordinator spot.
Right. Okay.
Do you know whether the school are allowed to have another person instead of the parent coordinator?
I asked and I was told no. So.
Okay, Aisha, let me find out for you.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out and find that out too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. They don't want to overwhelm the space where we have too many folks logging in. They still want to keep a reasonable amount of participants for it to be, successful. So, but if there's no parent coordinator, then yeah, I understand that. Okay, well, thank you, thank y'all so much. I see Sadie's here. Thank you, Marco and Jimmy.
Yeah, just 1 second. I see Thelma that had her hand raised. Last question.
Oh, Thelma. Yes, Thelma.
Hi, yes, she pretty much hit the nail on the head with that question about, I have several schools in my district that are newly opening up, that are on the list that I see, where they are requesting for healing ambassadors. And then we have quite a bit of changes within our administration that's happening. So we won't be able to have access to certain things or people within that administration to really get this up off the ground for those particular schools that are listed that aren't registered. I know the 2 schools that I was actually involved in are registered, but there's still quite a bit of schools who are not registered for the healing ambassador positions. As well as not
Thelma,
having
I'll talk to you on the back end, if you don't mind, directly, and we can connect with our face liaisons and folks and see how we can offer support, if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rashida.
Like folks who are really finding challenges and barriers, contact us. Because that's what we need to know. Like we need to understand. So please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. And now we're gonna give the floor to Sadie.
Hey everybody, what's up? Woo, it's a hot summer day. I hope you guys are staying hydrated. We are no good to anybody if we don't drink our water and when we don't take care of ourselves. Speaking about healing centered, it starts with us. And so beautiful to see you, Marie. Nice to see you on camera. And nice to see Rashida. Of course, it's also cool to not be on camera, just also saying it's nice to see folks. You know, I wanted to address first and foremost that I'm running a little behind, and it's not a reflection of my not respecting your time. It was my time wasn't respected by my child. And I think as parents, we all know what that's like. So I apologize and thank you for your grace. So what I wanted to share was we made a very quick switch to open meetings law. And I am sure that Adrian has addressed this before, but I wanted to just say to the community, you know, this happened hard and fast. We expected that it would be extended through the summer. You know, as our communities and specifically our Black and Latinx communities get vaccinated at a lower rate compared to others. And so what we had heard was that it would sort of continue month by month with expectation to go back full time in September. And so we all made that quick switch. So I want to just acknowledge that that was a really big adaptive move for our CEC members, for our SLT members, and when possible, you know, try to get quorum in the room and see how people can participate via Zoom, at least for the summer months, so that folks can get planning. I know so many families, you know, made plans to be remote or made plans to be out of the city and can't change their plans so last minute. So I just wanted to acknowledge and hope that you guys can turn key, that we just need to try to be as flexible as possible with people because it was a really quick switch. Also, there is a bill in the Senate that is being passed around that I can share on the chat, just so that you guys stay aware of it. We have internally been doing some advocacy to see how we can be more flexible, because we have heard from families and we have witnessed the incredible participation that came to certain CEC meetings and certain other meetings, parent involvement. Specifically want to lift up parents who have accessibility needs and parents who have children with disabilities. And so staying home with them and being able to participate via Zoom was really helpful. So I just wanted to start with that sort of humanity, because that's what we are. We're human. We're trying our best here. The other things that I wanted to lift up were that the way that the Family and Community Empowerment Office are structured is sort of a school-based liaison, someone working primarily with the President's Council, and that's, you know, PTAs and SLTs, right? But that's in conjunction with CPAC, of course, although CPAC is sort of considered in a citywide realm. There are folks that are working directly with the district, so that's the CEC work, and there are folks that are working, we call them parent empowerment liaisons, and they're working with family-facing school-based and district-based staff.
That's something that as I was new to FACE, was coming to learn. And I think the more we can all be clear in sort of how FACE is showing up, we can also iterate on how FACE can better show up for families and really stand in our role for, in service of our communities. There are a couple citywide things that are happening. Our work around language access continues under the leadership of Adrienne Austin and our colleagues, my colleague Michelle, who's been doing long time work with immigrant policy, as well as TNI and other things. We know that just communicating in English isn't going to cut it. That's not equitable. That's not centering families across the city. And we love our immigrant city, and also there's more than just immigrants that don't speak English, right? There's a whole bunch of us. So I want to just lift up that language access work continues to be a priority. So if you have ideas, resources, policy resources, things you want to get involved with, this is the time to lean in and really be in practice of parents as partners in policymaking. Because if we did it, we would have done it, right? And this is a really hard challenge. So we're focusing on that. The Healing Ambassador Family Community Wellness Collective. We have over 1,000 folks signed up, which is incredible. And I want to say that it's the result of phone calls, right? Old school phone calls, yes, emails, but also old school phone calls. So if you in your community are wondering, hey, why is Rashida not showing up to President's Council? Why is Marco not, showing up in the same way? I really want to recommend picking up the old school telephone. I know it's very 1990s of me, but I'm a 1990s kind of lady. And if it ain't broke, right? So I did want to just lift up that that's a real promising practice, and it's just not fancy, and it's not particularly a big breaking news, but it is really grounding us and grounding our office in practices that actually reach families. Old school telephone. And then let's see what else. I'm going to have sort of 4 big focus areas for the year that I would like to meet with you about specifically, and that we can dedicate the August meeting to that if you want, or we can set up time for people who want to be a part of these conversations. But, mentors of mine who are longtime parent leaders have asked me, Sadie, what do you want to do, right? What are you trying to do as a leader of this office and in partnership with the leaders who are already in the office? And first, I just want to acknowledge that a leader is only as good as how many leaders they leave behind. And so Claudette and Alexis are just 2 of the many FACE team members who are out here leading and supporting families. And that's what we want to see more of. So I have 4 focus areas that I wanted to share with you today. And I want to iterate on it with you. They're really simple, but I feel like sort of crystallizing where I want to see the work really be pushed forward. The first is parent engagement practices, right? So I talked about the telephone. It's old school, but like holding a one-on-one, right? And these are things I'm expecting you as parent leaders to do with other parent leaders too, right? What is a one-on-one phone call? It's 80% of the time you're listening, 20% of the time you're talking. Having an ask, meeting people where they're at, following up, right? So engagement practices, making sure that our team is in a real position to support other parent leaders with engagement practices, but also practice parent engagement practices so that we continue to have a groundswell of families who want to be in leadership positions or who want to participate in their child's education. So that's number 1. Right. And also be creative about it, whether it's door knocking, whether it's holding community forums, facilitated conversations, right? Real organizing strategies, facilitation strategies, mediation strategies. These are the things that will help us make an exquisite school system. More compelling than simply what's wrong with what has maybe happened in the past, right? And a lot of good things have happened in the past, hence my 1990s phone call reference. The other thing is really looking at the current structures of parent involvement. Do the current regulations and structures support, stand in service, are culturally responsive? Do they really stand in service of parents being involved? Are there unintended consequences, barriers put in place to participate? language access comes to mind for sure, but are there other things that we haven't looked at? What are the actual current structures, and do they need examining support? I know that this group, for example, has been working on amending A660 to bring it into the 2021 year, and I'm really excited to get that off the ground, as well as SLT amendments and more maybe. So that's the second. The third is really strengthening and cultivating relationship between our family facing staff, who is in the school-based, the district-based, and the central-based level, making sure that we're all aligned and speaking the same language, and you're not hearing from 20 different people. That's confusing, right? Marie, you're a rock star parent volunteer. You don't need to hear from 20 different DOE employees saying different things, and everyone's got a different initiative, right? Everyone is trying to be excited about what we're doing, but how can we maybe have a little bit more message discipline? Just a thought. And then last but not least, this is my North Star, which is, how do we as a system create the internal work to make sure that we're set up to really partner with families in policy making, development, and implementation. And that might take many, many, many years long after me, but that's certainly how I'm showing up to this work, how the team is showing up to this work, what we've heard from families and students when we show up to this work, and that's sort of big picture where we're driving. So I'll stop there, but those are my hot July greetings to you all. So thanks so much for having me, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Sadie. So you were suggesting we might want to have like additional discussion on these topics. Are you thinking that we should have one discussion on all four, or rather address one at a time in 4 separate discussions? Let me tell you why, because it seems that it's a great idea. It seems to be good topics to be discussing. I don't know that the CPAC, the monthly CPAC meeting is the right place, but we could have a special meeting actually dedicated to it. And I'm trying to already think like, okay, so when we organize it, how we organize it. So I'm thinking, are we organizing 4 of them, or rather we organizing 1 of them and try to address them? Or maybe we start organizing 1 and we discuss them all and then see how we want to go handle the work. Maybe we divide in 4 groups, right? Each one addressing one of the issue. And just, I mean, I don't know which one. I'm just kind of like taking the ball that you tossed, that seemed like a good ball, and see how we can actually make it happen, which seems a good idea to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, all of that sounds doable. Or if you say, if you as CPAC or maybe the exec board or other folks, or even just in sort of a pulse check and chat, whichever way, say, hey, we would like to do it in 4 sessions, or just a few of us really care about this or that, or 3 sessions, I'm really open to it. I want to be in the practice of modeling, like doing things with people, not to people. So I'm open to that, to any feedback. All of it is totally doable. And we can iterate on it. We can also—
We'll get back to you very soon, if not today, and figure it out. I see Jackie with her hand raised.
Yes, 99 things going on here today. Hi, Executive Director Sadie. How are you today? I hope you enjoyed your vacation. Hope it was nice. You owe me a follow-up. We need to talk. I think you'll be pleasantly pleased and surprised with what I'm going, things I want to meet with you about. One of the main things is it's on us though, CPAC. For whatever reason, we don't have a capacity building committee amongst other committees. We only have one committee working, but I'm owed a follow-up and look to meet with you perhaps the week of the 19th of July.
Thank you.
It's a long list that I'm not going to go over, but I'm owed a follow-up. Speaking of communication.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I
Any
elevate?
response, Sadie?
Yeah, just thanks, and I thank you for calling me in, and I'll we'll follow up.
Thank you, Sadie. Marie, what you were saying?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to elevate something that's in coincidence with the YouTube and as well as what Maria Villalobos just posted. Sadie, it seemed to be that there is an invite to you for the Spanish DOE briefing that takes place, and they would like to see you attend if possible. And that's both on the live stream link as well as directly here. Yes.
Quiero ir a esa reunión, pero tiene que hacer más paciencia con mi español, ¿me entiende? Porque no practico mucho y aprendí cuando tenía 20 años. Por eso yo tengo vergüenza cuando estoy hablando de educación. Pero sí, me voy. Yes, I will come, but you have to have patience with my Spanish because I learned late in life. And so therefore, talking about education policy sometimes makes me embarrassed. But otherwise, I'm all there, and I need to keep working on my Spanish anyway. So, ya viene.
Great, thank you, Sadie.
Con mucho gusto.
Oh, de nada. So I think we can actually then, I don't see any other hand raised. And so I actually propose that we do have this meeting with Sadie, at least one, to start organizing what we want to do with those issues, with the 4 issues that Sadie recommended. And then we organize a special meeting outside of the monthly CPAC meeting. But that's my proposal. I haven't discussed it with anybody. so people come, like, you feel free to comment right here whether you feel that's the way we should do it or whether you prefer to do it differently. Or I guess everybody's in agreement. Nobody has any comment.
I'm going to put the 4 little focus areas that I shared in the chat just so people can sit with it, because I know that sometimes it takes me a minute for auditory learners, non-auditory learners, I should say, like me. So I'll put that in the chat. The other thing is, because I wasn't here when the Deputy Chancellor was here, did she go over just at least high-level briefing on the academic recovery package that was announced by the Chancellor and Mayor today?
Say it again, no, go ahead.
No, we were having our meeting. They were having their press conference.
Right.
Tell us.
Yeah, go ahead, Sadie, please do.
Okay, great. Let me just put this right here. So the message to families is live, and so you can take a better look at that there. But in essence, when the mayor had announced, our proposed executive budget and some of our spending specifically around academic recovery, this is building on that. So it's nothing that you haven't heard. The expansion of community schools, for example, is included in that. This is all about making sure that we and our students come back stronger, but it's explicitly an acknowledgement that we can't come back stronger if we don't take care of our human selves in tandem to academic work, right? So the announcements were around early literacy for all, that is expanding early literacy screenings and intervention for students in kindergarten through 2nd grade. This is a universal literacy screener that will be used for K through 2 students to identify challenges, including the risk of dyslexia, and implementation plans based on results. So early literacy for all, digital literacy and devices. So we have purchased over 800,000 devices over the pandemic. Of course, we needed that because it was a major tool to access our schools and our learning. But we want to expand access to computer science for all by 400,000 students and certify over 5,000 educators who will support this work. We want to make sure that our young people are fully digitally literate. And so we want to make sure that we continue to invest in that. We've noticed a lot of really good, positive things. We are adding 48 new AP or college prep courses to serve over 1,600 students. And for those of you who may be familiar, student success centers, which were born in the Franklin K. Lane campus and Bushwick High School campus as a result of partnerships with the Cypress Hills Development Corporation and Make the Road, which are really exciting. Those have expanded to 34 more campuses. Student success centers are student and teacher run places where students can get help with financial aid, applying for college, and working through it step by step. They have really amazing proven results. If you haven't seen a Student Success Center, go see one, and excited to build more of them. It's also a really good practice of student leadership because students really co-run it, if not run it entirely. So that's very exciting. Special education investments. We are going to be adding 800 additional preschool special education seats, and we'll also be providing students who are 21 plus with continued instruction. This was something that we were hearing from a lot of our partners, specifically Good Shepherds, but other students who are in our District 79 programs, like, hey, what happens after 21? We still need support, especially in light of this year. And so that is something that we feel is, centering those who need it most, right? Who have been historically underserved. There's more, but which I will add, but that's a good start. We'll be expanding our training for our bilingual ENL teachers to make sure that they continue to get the support that they need so we can support our multilingual learner students. And then this one might be of particular excitement to some of you guys who have been working on advancing cultural responsive curriculum in our schools. As you know, it doesn't totally exist. That is the history, the books that we can procure don't exactly fully cover the range of perspectives, right? They cover important perspectives, but we're just asking for more perspectives. And so we are developing culturally responsive curriculum in ELA, math, arts, and more, developed by New York City educators for New York City students. And for those of you who have been around a little bit, under Chancellor Carmen Farina, we did this with Passport, the social studies curriculum, and we've had amazing results, and we want to continue to grow on that. And last but not least, we need to make sure that our students get the social emotional support that they need. And so we are fulfilling our commitment to hiring over 500 social workers to guarantee that every school has a social worker and school-based mental health workers, or a school-based mental health clinic, so that students can go when they are not just in crisis, but hopefully to prevent some of that crisis, as well as, which is a part of the addition and expansion of the 130 new community schools that have proven to be incredible strategies for young people to thrive, to do well, and to be seen as full selves. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So I'm sorry for just talking at you, but it's important you get that briefing. I'll share the link in the chat, and we'll keep talking about the budget stuff, because we want to make sure that it is culturally responsive and that we're using it in the way that's responsive to your needs. Thank you.
Great. No, thank you, Sadie. I see no hand raised. I think we shared all the information. We're going to actually place in the chat the 4 topics that you introduced. I don't know if maybe you didn't do it, maybe I missed it, but great. And actually Leonard in the meantime raised his hand.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry, let me put my camera on.
Show in the chat, then.
I apologize. So I understand that you said that FACE is working on in-house CRSE materials. Will any of that be available to look at beforehand, or any public comments on that? Or because what I'm interested in is, it seems like we find out after the fact what is actually being presented, and I was just wondering if there's any advance or way to understand what's actually being done in a particular school.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if there's any uniform standards either in terms of these kind of materials. So I was wondering if there's a central location you can figure out, what are the materials, what's being used in, let's say, high school and middle school and elementary school, something that can help us figure out what the materials are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silverman. I appreciate that. That's actually really, really important that you raised that, because the work has been ongoing. It's just not just all of a sudden going to develop, and it's not going to all of a sudden show up. There has been work that's been happening. And so my big recommendation to you is to actually invite the chief academic officer and her team that's been writing this work and that will continue to write this, to both share what they have been doing in detail. Because what I would give you is so high level, it wouldn't be super helpful, I don't think. And then also to ask for, a check-in every you know, whether it's 4 or 6 months or something, you know, something like that, so that you can sort of see and track where are we going with this, right? Is it ELA first? Is it math? Is it both? Is it certain grades, right? We have said K through 12. And so there are a lot of open questions that I also have. I was talking with the Coalition for Educational Justice, who has been a longtime advocate in this work. And I was thinking about what are parent-facing materials, to your point, Mr. Silverman, like, is this happening at my school? What does it mean in my school? Like, is it just a more diverse library? Is it a different interaction with materials? And ideally, it's all of the above, right? And it's also like how we create welcoming environments so that you, Mr. Silverman, and Marie, and everybody can feel welcomed in an environment and seen, right? It's all of those things. So I encourage you to invite those folks to come and brief you, and then offer, right? CRSE is everything, but also specific to the curriculum, though, and to your point. I think that you should just ask, like, hey, let's get a briefing on what's been happening. And then if we could set, you know, and then you would ask, can we have regular updates on, you know, what are next steps and how it's developing and when is it going to be in schools and all that stuff.
And then that's great, but I don't know if I'll be able to go to like a meeting with the chief academic officer, who's going to be able to schedule that. I just was wondering if for parents, just in general, there was something, you know, a list of like what books are being advocated or being recommended, just like really general. I'm not asking for, you know, like this particular sentence is going to be in this book, just so we have a general idea, you know, what's going on.
Well, I'm going to get briefed on it, so I will make sure that I am ready to answer some at least general questions, at least for your August meeting if you're meeting. But I also think that that CPAC is in a position to request that Linda, Dr. Chen, and her team come and share a little bit as well, because I think it's important. And I know
it's something we actually should definitely consider to invite her to present herself, rather than have you present to what she presented to you.
Exactly.
I see two more hand raised. There is Cecilia from 2026.
I was actually going to just suggest that. Can we have her next time or at some point?
Yeah, I'm not sure if for August, but we can definitely have her soon, maybe September, if not August. Yeah.
Great,
So
thank you.
the question, or also
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm not making decisions. The executive board should discuss, but I don't see why not, since that everybody is interested. And Shalonda, D14?
Yes, I just wanted to just reiterate what Mr. Silverman said. With the curriculum and having access as a parent, there is We Teach NYC, which I've been able to look at some things because my mother's a DOE employee. There are resources there and they have parent resources, but they're not being shared out to parents by the school. Then we have, you know, Parent University. So we have all these individualized spaces that are not technically linked. And it seems as if, you know, we're reinventing the wheel when there are actually resources out there. And if there's a possible way to kind of link them together, link parents to them, and that way we create this more community focused space, I think it'll help us with all the questions that we have, because there's so many avenues, but not everybody has access. No one knows about this. No one knows about that. We're creating this and we're creating that. When on We Teach NYC has CRSE things on there, Goldie Muhammad, Bettina Love, like those things are on there. But if teachers don't know to utilize them, don't know to, you know, share them with parents, then we're going to keep continuing to have these situations where parents are going to be reaching out, teachers don't know where to go, administrators don't know, but all this stuff is already there. So is there a way to, in these meetings or something, to have, you know, a space where this is really collective? Because it just seems like we're all just bouncing off of everywhere and no one is actually coming together, utilizing the resources that we have at our fingertips right now.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more, Shalonda. I also want to just say that the part of the package is teacher and principal professional development. So that is, if it's, you know, to your point, if it's on We Teach, right, that doesn't mean that I don't need skills to be able to think about different perspectives, et cetera. I always use restorative justice and restorative practices as a good example. Like, what, I'm cool, like I'm down for restorative practices, but that doesn't mean that I don't need to be trained in how to hold circle or how to actually do the things that are necessary to do it. And so that's also part of our recovery package, which I was very pleased about. And thankfully, so was Coalition for Educational Justice, who was one of our major partners, but also advocates who was really pushing this forward. Like, guys, we can't keep missing opportunities to share the multiple perspectives of all of our students and families. I mean, look at this call, for example. You know, we all come from all different types of places, and I don't know. For me, CRSE is an opportunity to be inclusive, not exclusive. And I think that's a good framing, hopefully, that teachers and principals can really latch onto.
But yeah, I appreciate that. But what's also missing from CRSE is community and parent involvement and student involvement. It seems as what's happening is that it's like power for versus power with. And we need to make sure that there is community, because a lot of this is what we're going to tell you what we're doing versus this is what we're going to do together. So that's a major piece that continues to be missed, is that there isn't a space for student and parent engagement and collectively as it's happening with staff and administrators during these PDs. So there needs to be community development versus professional development, and where we're told what's happening versus creating things together.
I couldn't agree more. When I was working on the District 15 diversity plan, many of the families in Sunset Park told me, it's not that we don't apply to the schools because our kids couldn't get in, it was that all the tours were done in English. Right? And that's a really good example of like, that's not a culturally responsive practice. So if we're having all the great curriculum, but not doing certain things that welcome community and welcome our students and families into the building, then we're missing the mark as well. So I really appreciate you lifting that up.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Sadie. I think we can call it done for the day, unless you have sent anything do you want to close with, or
I'm good. Claudette, Alexis, did I miss anything? Do you need me to say anything else?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Marco, Sadie, Marie, I apologize. Sadie, you mentioned a letter being released today. Is that around what you went over with the Chancellor on the press release?
Yes, ma'am. I put the link in chat. Let me put it in again, just in case it got buried.
No, parents are asking when it will be released in different languages.
Oh, well, it's coming. It's coming.
Thank you so much.
It's coming.
Actually, I see two hands raised. Jackie and Lourdes.
Well, actually, I raised my hand when no other hands were raised because I wanted to make a motion to adjourn, but I will table a motion if somebody has something else. But if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Lourdes, go ahead.
Lourdes.
Yes, the question was for Sadie in regards to, she spoke about FACE and school liaisons, and I'm sorry, I'm not showing my face now. I am. How are you? And FACE and school liaisons.
I was like looking over to try to see like this, and
I'm so sorry. So yeah, and I was just wondering how do you define the role of FACE under your new leadership, and certain meetings that are happening that are defined, like for example, meetings for President's Council, but yet President's Council's presidents are not being invited to these meetings. How is that supposed to help our President's Councils if instead of us, it's either an FLC or FSC or even our superintendent attending that meeting, and we're not? How is that supposed to help us?
I think I'm missing the question. Can you repeat? Can you say it again for me?
can you define the role of FACE under your new leadership?
Okay,
Number one.
that's
And
one.
number two, the you know, certain meetings that are happening with liaisons that in FACE liaisons, right, that are determined for President's Council, but or has the title of President's Council in it, but President's Council are not being invited to it. President's Council presidents are not being invited to attend. Instead, others like maybe the superintendent or the FLC or the FSC is attending on our behalf.
Okay, well, the first is, you know, look, this is a theory of action that I'm landing with, and then I want to make sure that the rest of the team, you know, agrees. But I think that they do, and so I'm taking it out for a spin. But bear with me. And a theory of action, for those of you who are new to it, is an if and then a then. If this, then that. So if and when we empower our students and families, then we will not only have the most excellent public education system, but also the most equitable one. That is, I believe that when we empower our students and families, and I hope to empower them, of course, in a much more systemic way, but if and when we do that, we see student outcomes and public education do better. And so that's sort of it. It's very simple for me, is that if and when we do that well, if and when we do that culturally responsibly, if and when we center those who have been historically underserved, underrepresented, left out of spaces and places of power, you know, if and when we do that, then we will have a most excellent and equitable education system, right? If we build an education system for, you know, the few, then those are the results that we'll see, that the few will do well. And so, you know, I come to this work with an equity lens, an anti-racist lens, but I also come to this work knowing from the bottom of my heart that I have something to learn from every single family in New York City. So I'm holding all those things, and I put that in my cover letter, and so I'm sure that you know, those who said that I was, you know, appropriate for the job, they knew how I was entering this space, and I think that the team is ready to do that work, and I'm ready to support them and give them the tools and sort of cut out some of the red tape that has prevented them from really standing in their roles, and so that's sort of how I am approaching the work, and how I want to lead is how I want them to approach community members, which is I have approached FACE and my FACE staff, knowing that they have knowledge, knowing that they have expertise, and knowing that they have resources and practices that shouldn't just be, you know, forgotten because there's a new, you know, executive director, right? And that's how I want them to approach families and communities. That is, we don't just have something to tell you to do or, you know, to change, but rather you as families and in all of your communities have practices and knowledge and resources that we need to lead with, and then we can iterate on what, you know, that collaboration can look like. So that's in essence how I've approached the work so far.
Thank you, Sadie. And I also appreciate on the sense the four issues that you propose that we meet and discuss is effectively what you're actually saying here, right? To work together to develop how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My motion still stands. If there's
yeah, I
nothing
was going
else.
to say that. So there is a motion to adjourn. I need a second.
Before you do, Mr. Chair. Yes, so just one question into the live stream chat, and then there's one more thing for the CPAC business that needed to be mentioned. If I may, with the
Go ahead, of course.
Yes. So Carolyn Castro says special education seats increase. That's a question mark. And what about services for the additional 800? I don't know, this is something Sadie and
I'm sorry, Marie. I think maybe it was my audio or something. Can you just repeat the question so I can make sure?
So the question is around special education seats increase, additional seats, and also what about services for the additional 800?
So these are, so just to be clear, these are 800 pre-K seats, just so you know, and services are intended to, you know, come with. That is, you know, what is needed is supposed to be provided. But I have a wonderful colleague named Jose Rios Lua from this special education office. You know him, Marie, because we do our other meeting with him. But he also would be a great resource for you, as well as who brought up the Spanish Weekly. Maria, was it Maria? Lourdes? I can't remember. But either way, that he
and Maria, yes.
both are good. I was see. There you go. That he also should also be invited to your meeting to maybe brief you guys on the special education announcements.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
That was it, Marie?
Yeah, this is it for now, yes.
All right, great. So there is a motion from Manhattan High School to
Second.
adjourn.
Second.
And Bronx High School seconds it. And so unless there are any objections, we cannot go on and close the meeting.
Was the announcement for the nominating committee for our elections. That was to be brought up as well, but the motion is already made, so we've adjourned. It's fine. So our members can be emailed on that.
Yeah, we have time. Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you, Sadie. Bye, everyone. Enjoy your summer. Talk to you soon.
All right, be well and keep safe, everyone.